That's awesome. Oh, 0. Yes, hopefully everything's good. Hello everyone, can you guys see me? How's everyone doing? It's a bit more towards this side. Alright, it's good. Is it good? All good. So, hello everyone! Hi! Thank you so much for coming over to my live stream today. Hope that everyone have a wonderful day. Gosh, I need to move this one back a bit. Can, hopefully can. Oh gosh, no. Okay, this is too much. Hopefully this is good, hopefully. Okay, can. So how's everyone doing? Thank you so much for coming over to my live stream today. I'll be doing some simple reaction videos for the film theorists in the year 2019. The videos from the year 2019. Yeah, it's more towards I think it's more towards the month of June, July, I guess. Let's see. It's more towards the month of June or July. Oh no! It's way past that. It's in the month of October. Sorry, it's not October. August, September. August, September. Yeah, August and September. Those are the older films. It's not older films. It's more closer towards the end of the year kind of films. It's awesome. Anyways, can't wait for it. Dr. Stone. Oh, okay, Dr. Stone. Awesome. Dr. Stone will be, how should I say? Anime, yes. How should I make this? Hello everyone, it's me, and today, anime. Let's try. Let's go for this anime. Gosh. So I'm going to start my part-time job next week. Hopefully I can get enough money to buy a new laptop. Yeah, my laptop is not the best. I really want to upgrade to I'm looking at the $899, even though it's Windows 10. It's 16 GB RAM, which is like the bare minimum for gaming nowadays. For most gaming nowadays, minimum 16 GB. I know of friends who have 64 GB. It's like, wow, it's awesome. Expensive. Yeah. It cost them like what, $800-900 for the 16 GB RAM only. Okay. I'm thinking of buying $899. Them $900. $900 laptop. The entire thing, not just the RAM itself. With the AMD 5500U CPU processor, yeah. So it's like, hello everyone, it's me, Anime, and today, Anime. Sorry. Hi everyone, it's me, Anime, Dr. Stones. How's it? Dr. Stones. Oh, mystery. Dr. Stones. It's not Stones. Dr. Stone, yeah, correct. Alright, let's start. I'm ready. Thank you so much. Let's get started. Anime! I'm sorry. Hello everyone, it's me, and today, Anime! Dr. Stones! Let's find the secrets together! Oh gosh! This is the anime opening But remember, that's just a theory! A film theory! Oh my god, they actually make an entire opening Wow! They actually make an entire... Oh my god, they actually make an entire opening for this It's just awesome! The OP is OP! The opening is overpowered!
Hello Internet, welcome to Film Theory!
Hello everyone! Hello Internet! Welcome to Film Theory! Hello!
You know, I love covering anime on this channel because, unlike most other media which will say it's rooted in science, but really just boil down to magic, Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Doctor Strange!
Those wizards now.
Many of the most popular anime really do restrict their stories to realistic scientific and mathematical principles. You really can calculate the formulas alongside the Elric brothers in Full Metal Alchemist, or use science to better understand and defeat the giant monsters of Attack on Titan.
FMA, Full Metal Alchemist, and also Shingeki no Kyojin, Attack on Titans.
In these, and so many others that we've covered on the show, science is a narrative launch pad to prompt more creative storylines, rather than a narrative hurdle that just gets dismissed. But perhaps none have been more explicit in that goal than the anime I'm covering today, Dr. Stone, the latest manga from Shonen Jump to earn its own anime adaptation. Now, if the name Shonen Jump doesn't immediately jump out at you, consider this. Shonen Jump animes tend to end up as some of the biggest names of this medium.
Yes, it's like super popular in Japan, and I'm just a huge fan of their series.
Does Naruto or Dragon Ball ring a bell? Well, that's the power of Shonen Jump. So Dr. Stone is already coming into this thing with a huge pedigree. But not only is it coming from such a renowned publisher, it's also coming with a mystery that definitely got my theorist senses tingling. One day, a mysterious flash of light instantly turns every human on Earth to stone. What a way to start your story, right? Almost 4,000 years later, a brilliant teenager named Senku is freed from the stone and sets out on a quest to revive not only humanity, but our entire modern civilization using the power of science. Along the way, he does battle against Tsukasa, the strongest person left on the planet, who believes that not all people should be revived, making this ultimately a story of strength versus science. But it's that petrification beam from the opening minutes of this series that really is the driving mystery for the whole show. What is it? How does it work? And most importantly, where did it come from? Senku in this show may be brilliant, but even he hasn't been able to solve it yet. So
And I like it that when your outfit equals to, when your outfit has the logo of E equals to MC square, pay respect to Einstein. Now that's a good outfit.
as a fellow man of science, or at least a man of YouTube who talks about science occasionally, I'd like to offer my help in solving this big mystery.
Man of YouTube is science, you know, and entertainment plus education is like edutainment.
Because the series has already started seeding out clues as to what the cause of this petrification might be, and I believe that there's enough information available already in the anime and manga to solve this mystery ourselves. Now I'm gonna just say this up front since the anime is so new, cracking this theory will require discussing some little details that come up a bit later in the manga.
But having said that, this video came out in the year 2019, so there might be a lot of plots that he might not be correct. But still, it's always good to think of it from the point of view of MadPat from the year 2019. So anyways, let's continue.
Nothing too major because the manga isn't that about this petrification beam. The trigger for the petrification process is a green light that turns any person it touches to stone. And while the light is in fact visible, it doesn't seem to require line of sight to work. I mean, Earth is frozen, even those who are inside buildings or inside airplanes during the event.
Or maybe if you are underground,
Places where the light should be blocked from view, and yet they're still turning to stone.
inside a building, inside a storage room.
It's also worth noting that only humans are affected by this light flash.
Your dog.
Other animals are left completely untouched. Well, almost. Later in that first episode, we're shown a flashback that reveals another really fascinating detail. While the beam of light that turned the human population to stone doesn't affect any other animals or objects, the day before that light flashes, a similar event turns all the swallows on Earth into statues. What this tells us then is that there must be some mechanism at work that allows the process to target specific species, and that for some reason, whatever started this whole thing singled out birds first and then moved on to humans. So that's already a lot of information about the mystery of the light, but there's a lot more here that we can unpack. In addition to petrifying humans, the beam also apparently has restorative properties. When the last bit of rock on Senku's neck is depetrified, it has the side effect of repairing his broken vertebra. And later in the series, without again spoiling too much, we see someone who was comatose in the pre-petrification world come back to life with their full cognitive faculties intact. So whatever is causing the petrification must also be capable of repairing damage to the body.
That's a very specific type of wanting to kill you, but yet want to heal you in the first place. It's very suspicious though.
It also leaves key systems of the body functioning. After humans are petrified, their nervous systems also are able to remain active. Both Senku and his best friend Taiju are shown to be capable of maintaining consciousness and thinking coherently while still trapped in the stone. So whatever substance these petrified bodies are made of must still be capable of carrying electrical signals. That's what the brain requires in order to think. And if
Yes, your brain really needs electrical signals, electricity.
you think that I'm overanalyzing this stuff, I'm not. The show clearly wants us to put these pieces together. As Senku himself points out in the series, something within the stone has to be consumed in order to maintain the energy level of output that the brain is consuming by thinking. Which
Yes, and also I really like the artwork of Einstein, Albert Einstein.
he calculates out to be 2 trillion joules over the course of 3,700 years. You see why I'm so excited to cover this show? Senku is a theorist after my own heart. Normally, calculating out stuff like that is something I'd have to do for an episode like this, where I'm probably reading too far into things. But no, here it's like the show is doing the work for me. It's amazing. It's this steady consumption of his stone body to maintain consciousness that allows him to survive and break out of his stony prison. Well, that, and a bit of exposure to nitric acid, which again, the show is nice enough to point out to us.
NANI?!
They're clearly setting up breadcrumbs for us to follow. It is just my job in this episode today to put them to their logical conclusion. People who haven't stayed conscious for all that time, however, require a stronger corrosive acid to be depetrified, because their body hasn't been consuming the stone that they are literally encased in. Through trial and error, Senku finds a specific mixture of nidal, an industrial etching agent that can instantly depetrify anyone. That formula, as told to us by the show, is 30...
There's a stone for the islands, yeah, and also the stone in which you're high. The kind of stone
petrified humans are made of just yet, but by looking at all of the other clues that we have available to us, from the green light to the restoration process, we can really start to figure out how these statues are made. First, we need to debunk that this is actually petrification, because it's not. Petrification is the process by which fossils are made, where the organic material of a buried life form is gradually replaced with minerals, creating a stone replica that's similar to the original down to the microscopic level. But that's not what's happening here in Dr. Stone. Alternative. I'll keep workshopping it.
Okay, it's a different type of stones. Please don't do this at home, sorry.
We also know that before being exposed to nidal, stoned humans aren't simply encased in the rock, or whatever this rock-like substance is. Instead, it's more likely bonding non-organic matter into the body to change its composition in some way. But what can do all of that? Well, it is possible for light and energy to change the composition of the body. Lasers can be used to ionize matter, and radiation pushes atoms and electrons around, but energy isn't intelligent. It can't pick and choose targets. So even if someone were to create a laser beam or radiation beam that's able to fire mineral atoms directly into organic matter to transform it into stone, it would have to affect every living creature on Earth. It would not only be limited to one species at a time. That's not consistent with the observations that we made earlier. While it does look like a beam of light is causing all this, the way that the stonification functions just doesn't line up with our understanding of how light and energy work. Trying to apply those properties to energy pushes us into fantasy territory, which honestly is not what this anime is all about.
True, this anime really have a strong foundations in trying to say that science is awesome.
But there is something else within the realm of science, or at least plausible science fiction, that could in fact target specific creatures for transformation and add slight amounts of mass to their body. Nanomachines. A swarm of nanomachines, robots the size of molecules, could, in theory, reassemble cells, DNA, or the molecules in our own bodies into a stone-like substance. They could also carry additional matter into the body to facilitate these sorts of changes. And they could be programmed to only target human or bird DNA. While these sorts of swarms are typically portrayed in science fiction as gray goo or airborne dust clouds, the reality is that they'd be smaller than the eye can see, small enough to slip into buildings through gaps between the particles in the walls. And depending on what they're made out of, the only sign of their presence could be discolored light refracting off their bodies. Look again at that opening scene, at the beam of light as it transforms everyone across the world. You'll notice that it's not just a beam of green light. There are very clearly particles flying past everyone as they turn to stone, meaning that this might not just be an artistic choice for how to portray the beam, but really that there could very likely be much more at work here than simply a green light.
Maybe it's more than just a green light, it's more like the reflection of green light. That is the nanobots?
Nanomachines would also explain the restorative properties of the stonification process, as robots capable of rearranging organic material into stone could also easily repair any damage done to that organic material. Nanomachines could even allow Senku's brain to keep working when the rest of his body is stone. The electrical signals could be passed through these small bots rather than his rock-hard neurons. This even explains how the beam is able to target one species of life. Nanomachines can theoretically be programmed to target any kind of DNA, so targeting birds first and later humans, totally doable with this sort of technology. And that's not the only odd quirk of this process that makes sense in this light. The stonification grenade I mentioned during the boat scene in chapter 106 is shown to have a precise, very rigidly fixed range. The sphere of light it creates expands to contain most, but not all of the villagers on that boat. And outside of that sphere, there is no apparent effect, which isn't what we would expect to see from the stonification process if it was caused by radiation. Energy just doesn't contain itself in a perfect sphere like that. The density of energy, and therefore its power, would fall off gradually as it spread out from the source. So while it might indeed be too weak to fully turn anything outside that sphere into stone, someone sitting just inches away from it should probably be affected in some minor way, and yet somehow this little girl is fine. The only part of her that's affected by the sphere is her hair, which gets blown directly into the blast radius, and she's able to save herself from being turned to stone by simply ripping that part of her hair out, which in turn implies that there's some kind of substance spreading across her body that's causing the transformation. Light wouldn't work that way. Nanomachines would. In fact, nanomachines could absolutely be programmed to expand to a certain radius and only affect things within that radius.
That means you're trying to say that the moment it touches the hair, if it's allowed to, the hair will travel up and transform the entire body.
Leaving everything outside of that radius completely untouched, just like we see with the grenade. Which brings us to perhaps the biggest spoiler of this theory, but one that's quite honestly unavoidable if I want to give this theory as much supporting evidence as possible. The reveal of who I think is behind this whole thing. Now, if you want to save that reveal for yourself, then go watch Dr. Stone. It is great. Seriously, this show is like the perfect mix of anime action and scientific fantasy, and you can find it airing right now on our sponsor for today's episode, Crunchyroll, where you can watch it using their premium service for free, using our exclusive offer, crunchyroll.com/filmtheorist. Link is in the top line of the description, but more on them in a minute. First, the big reveal. In chapter 95 of the manga, Senku activates a massive radio tower that's meant to serve as a beacon for navigation, and almost as soon as it comes online, he's bombarded with a message in Morse code repeating the same question over and over. Why? 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 Something has been monitoring the Earth, waiting for signs of civilization, and when it detects them, it responds instantaneously, in a simple, robotic fashion. No human would be capable of doing that. This is the automatic response of a machine, one that is apparently displeased, or at least perplexed, to see humanity climbing the tree of technology yet again. The culprit behind Dr. Stone's apocalypse isn't aliens or some evil foreign power, it's an AI seeking
Dragon
to
Ball.
halt human progress, quite possibly for what it believes to be our own good. And if Senku wants to rebuild civilization, he's gonna have to take down that millennia-old enemy first. Or at least that's my theory, but will I be right? Only one way to find out: by watching the show. Honestly, I'm just as eager to find out as you are. So if you want to nerd out alongside me as new episodes of this anime roll out, and be the first person to know about what will end up being one of anime's most talked about shows, then check out our sponsor, Crunchyroll, a service built by anime fans for anime fans, with the goal of delivering the best anime experience you can find outside of Japan. And not only do they have the biggest, most diverse collection of anime out there, featuring longtime favorites like One Piece, Attack on Titan, and My Hero Academia, mixed in with some new and exciting titles like Dr. Stone, which again is great, but what I appreciate most about Crunchyroll is that a portion of each premium membership goes back to the creators of these shows, helping to support the anime industry. Like I said at the beginning of this episode, anime tackles storylines that no one else can, or does, honestly, making it one of the most exciting storytelling mediums out there. So a service like Crunchyroll going out of their way to help fund the creators of this art form is doing us all a favor. So please do me a favor by checking them out. Give Crunchyroll a chance using our exclusive link, crunchyroll.com/filmtheorist, FILMTH. You know what, screw that, that's way too long to type into the search bar. Top line of the description, you know it, you love it, you can click it. And in return, you're gonna get their premium membership for 14 days absolutely free, with all episodes ad-free and in 1080p HD, airing as soon as 1 hour after they air in Japan. Go out there and start making all the anime memes you can possibly want, because you're gonna be first. So getting to these sorts of anime early, super valuable. I mean, your social standing is peak. So support the art form, support us on this channel. Heck, support yourself in your own meme creation and get yourself an incredible new show to watch. That's crunchyroll.com/filmtheorist. Top line of the description. Click the link, check out Dr. Stone and all the rest of the great anime on Crunchyroll. I promise you're not gonna be disappointed. And remember, that is just a theory. A film theory. And cut.
Thank you so much for watching this video together with me. I hope that you find this video very interesting and just all in all just special to watch. If you do like this video, please remember to like, share and subscribe to my channel and comment down below if you have any question of us. Don't forget to follow my channel and sincerely appreciate all of your support and encouragement for our work. Thank you so much, it's very motivating and wholesome. Thank you all so much for your positivity as well. Alright, but hey, that's just a theory. A film theory and cut. Thank you. And I hope to see you all in my next video. Bye bye! Thank you so much. Subscribe. Alright, so welcome back to my live stream. Just now there was a slight lag here and there. I was very concerned. I was genuinely like, should I actually stop this entire live stream and just redo the entire live stream? Because there was a check or disconnected. My computer disconnected. One of the key points that I can understand is maybe my computer is too old. The connection is not the best. My signal producer is far because there's a little door here. So yeah, there's literally upgrade everything. I got all these plans involved, but yeah, all these limitations is just a hassle. It's a huge hassle. What is this? Star Wars, the Rise of... Oh, wow, he might actually be correct. Star Wars. Are you ready for... The Rise? Star Wars. Star Wars. Star Wars. Okay, so case in point, hopefully my live stream is not. Hopefully I might need to rewatch my live stream. Oh wait, I need to rewatch my video just now. Hopefully, I should have done this before lah, but. Press wrong. Hello everyone, it's me, and today, anime, Dr. Stones. Let's find the secrets together.
Because the last thing I'd want to do is ruin a great storyline. Don't want process is Earth is full turn to complete the show. Senku is like the show. Well, that's just my job. He hasn't been that corrosive. So try this vacation just yet, but by looking
the islands, yeah.
since there's no equivalent, which in the real world would be about as explosive an industrial etching agent that can ink it, which again the show is nice enough to be think. And if
Wanting to kill you, but yet want to heal you in the first place. It's very suspicious though.
to humans. So that's work. I mean, facts, because in the manga.
I'm glad that the E equals to MC squared. Pay respect to Einstein. Now that's a good outfit.
As a fellow man of science, or at least a man at microscopic level, but that's wouldn't location is completely matter to transmit that anime is all about. Nanomachine, human acting off their sense in this. It spread her hair. The reveal, Crunchyroll.
I'm glad that the Wi-Fi is not okay. Awesome. Everything's good. Okay, good. Hello everyone, it's me, and today, let's are you ready for? Sorry, my bad. Hello everyone, it's me, and today, are you ready for the rise of Star Wars? Let's go. I'm sorry. One more time. What am I doing, man? What am I doing? Gosh. One more time. Hello everyone, it's me, and today, are you ready for the rise of Star Wars? Together. Rise of Skywalker. Not bad.
Milk does a body good.
That's gross.
Oh sure, green milk grosses you all out, but no one had any complaints back when I was drinking blue milk. Hello Internet, welcome to Film Theory.
Hello Internet, welcome to Film Theory. Hello, let's start.
Where nothing in this entire vast universe can stop me from trying to correctly predict something, anything, about Star Wars. That's right, folks. Today I will pay my respects to the age-old belief that if you fail at something, you should try again, even if it threatens to turn you into the Jar Jar Binks of Star Wars theories. I mean, I've been wrong about Star Wars so many times that even me joking about being wrong about Star Wars is an opening that I've already used in a previous Star Wars video. A video where, surprise, surprise, I end up being wrong yet again. But in the words...
You were close. Having said that, you were close, but you were still wrong, unfortunately.
Of someone important. I forget exactly who. Let the past die. Kill it if you have to. And so I have. I've killed it, buried it in the middle of the Arizona desert, burned off my fingerprints to make sure nothing is ever traced back to me. And so I'm back to the scene of the crime with a solid idea of what's gonna happen in the other major blockbuster finale we have coming out later this year, Star Wars Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker.
The Rise of Skywalker.
It's a solid theory based on canon lore, solid narrative beats seeded into past movies, and even some necessary business decisions on the part of Disney. Then again, we've seen how much the last movie cared about all that stuff.
Ho!
Today's theory all starts with one thing.
Yes, I'm like, the moment when that happens, right, it's like, wait, what the... Bruh, seriously?
The laugh that lit the internet on fire. Nope, that's not Pennywise. At the end of the episode 9 trailer, we get ourselves the iconic laugh of our old pal Sheev. Sheev Palpatine.
Palpatine!
Evil Emperor himself. Raisin Face. I mean, what is this guy doing back? Outside of very clearly trying to win back fans via nostalgia, prompt analysis videos like this one asking that very question.
That's actually baits. Free marketing.
Also fill in the obvious gaping villain role that these movies now have after...
Ta-da!
Outside of small reasons like that, from a narrative standpoint, what is Sheev doing back here? Last we saw the Emperor, he was, well, kinda deader than a mannequin being thrown off of a catwalk and exploding into an energy core.
But having said that, you killed one. Do you kill all of them?
Why? How? I have so many questions, and that is what our theory is today. Predicting the role that Emperor Palpatine will play in the upcoming finale to the Star Wars nonology. You don't hear too frequently people talking about 9-part series as a nonology, but that's technically the correct term.
So, Spider-Man 1, 2, 3 is called trilogy. If it's 9, it's
Ladies
nonology.
and gentlemen, it is my belief that Sheev Palpatine, aka Darth Sidious, aka Dark Lord of the Sith himself, created Rey. That Rey is a part of an elaborate plot by the Emperor to live on even in the face of death.
Well, technically speaking, yes and no. You're close, you're close.
Extreme, right?
You're close.
I know! It is! That's why it's so exciting, because it sounds so stupidly absurd. And yet, you know that I wouldn't be claiming this in an episode of this show if I didn't have any evidence to back it up.
I feel the conflict in you. It's tearing you apart.
You are tearing me apart, Lisa!
So no more conflict, friends. Let me show you what I got. See if I can draw you over to my side of the Force. First, let's take a look at Sheev himself. In Revenge
Oh my god, so you're trying to say that Pat is Darth Vader.
of the Sith, Palpatine tells a young Anakin Skywalker about the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise. According to Palpatine,
Darth Plagueis was a dark lord of the Sith, so powerful and so wise, he could use the Force to influence the midi-chlorians to create life.
Now, a quick note here. With the release of the new Star Wars movies, many people have called into question controversial additions to the universe that were made during the prequels, including, most famously, the midichlorians.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
Midichlorians are a microscopic life form that resides within all living cells. They continually speak to us, telling us the will of the Force.
Are these things still canon? I mean, so many Star Wars fans want them to not be, but the official answer is yeah, they absolutely are. The rule of thumb here is that if it appears in the movies, or if it appears in a few select books that were published after 2015, it is still canon. And if we're talking about questionable canonicity, I mean, heck, in The Last Jedi, Luke uses a doppelganger technique to trick Kylo Ren. When fans jumped at the fact that this seemed like a brand new Jedi trick coming out of nowhere, writer and director Rian Johnson took to Twitter to prove that it was in The Jedi Path, a manual for students of the Force, a 2010 book that wasn't considered canon by most, but to Rian Johnson it was fair game. So basically, what is and isn't canon in this franchise can best be summarized like this.
Solo, we'll figure it out. We'll use the Force. That's not how the Force works.
But that disclaimer aside,
I like it. Fans of Star Wars and directors of Star Wars.
again? Oh yeah!
Darth Plagueis was a dark lord of the Sith, so powerful and so wise, he could use the Force to influence the midi-chlorians to create life.
So we know that somewhere out there, extreme sensitivity to the Force allows for control over life itself. So who is Darth Plagueis? Well, it doesn't matter because he's dead, son.
Unfortunately, he taught his apprentice everything he knew. Then his apprentice killed him in his sleep.
When Anakin asks if it's possible to learn the power to create life and keep people from dying, Palpatine tells him yes, but not from a Jedi. What Palpatine doesn't tell Anakin at the time is that Darth Plagueis' apprentice, Darth Sidious, is none other than Emperor Palpatine himself. Haha! And now we're getting somewhere, because this tells us that Palpatine does indeed have the power to create life using the Force, or at the very least has knowledge that the Force can be used to manipulate life forms in some way. But what cause would he have to do something like that? Well, though we don't hear a lot about this in the films, it's been very well established through supplemental canonical materials like Shattered Empire, the Aftermath novels, and The Last Jedi Expanded Edition that Emperor Palpatine made numerous contingency orders in the event of his early and untimely death. And when I say numerous contingency plans, I don't mean one, I don't mean 2 or even 10. I am talking 150. I guess.
Yes, this guy, like, he's so afraid of dying that he make plans of what to do after he's Yeah, that's a lot of contingency plans, hundreds.
Yes, it's best to be over-prepared. As he himself says in the novel Aftermath, quote, if an empire... Sorry, it just kind of sounds wrong in my usual voice. Let me try this again. Frog voice. Frog voice. I'm the emperor. As I say in the novel Aftermath, if an empire cannot protect its emperor, then that empire must be deemed a failure. It collapses not only because its central figure is gone, but because it must not be allowed to remain. In short, these contingency plans were meant to be a final screw you to everyone who had a hand in his death, but like the most extreme screw you possible, since, you know, they entailed mass death at a galactic scale. A giant self-destruct plan that eradicates the rebels while also cutting out most of his former empire, eliminating all the weakness within it so that its strongest elements live on and rebuild to be stronger than before. I've actually talked in depth about one of these particular plans over on Game Theory, Operation Cinder, which was the contingency plan featured prominently in Star Wars Battlefront 2. Again, a canonical source of lore where satellites were used to permanently change the climates of planets into hostile, deadly storms. Okay, so we've established that Palpatine has control over life and has a bunch of plans laid out for his untimely death. It's also probably worth noting here that one element of his contingency plan directly resulted in the creation of the First Order. Yeah, I'm sure he wasn't the only one wondering where these guys came from at the beginning of Star Wars Episode 7. You go from Episode 6 with happy, dancing teddy bears and another Death Star explosion giving a final kick in the balls to the Empire, and then suddenly The Force Awakens starts where it's like, oh yeah, there are these other new guys now? I mean, I was in the theater being like, what? Where did they come from? I'm sorry. All we're given is that Luke leaves and suddenly the rebellion is like, whoops, we happen to let in the space Nazis. Oh yeah, and P.S. they also have a bigger death ball? Dear Rebellion, here's some real talk for ya. If one space magician takes a vacation and he can't detect a giant planet of death sneaking in under your noses, maybe you shouldn't be the ones in charge of things.
Or maybe you can improve on your leadership skills. Yeah, take a course or something. Your leadership skills may not be the best.
Oh, and by the way, you, 1 minute text scroll in front of the movie setting up everything that I'm supposed to know about? Sorry, that's not enough information for me. Anyway, rant aside, the First Order was born in a pretty complicated way, but born nonetheless from Palpatine's contingency plans. True to his plan, the weak parts of the Empire were culled away, those who remained retreated into the unknown regions of space aboard Emperor Palpatine's megaship the Eclipse, and they came back stronger. They came back as the First Order. As it said in the book, quote, it's time to start over. That is our First Order. To begin again, and to get it right this time. See, there it is, First Order. So we have ourselves contingency plans, force-driven life control, and a connection to the events that we see playing out in the movies. But what does any of this have to do with Rey and Rise of the Skywalker? Cause yeah, I remember that was the thesis I started this entire episode out with. Well, buckle up, friends, because it's time we talk about the Jakku Observatory. Yeah, the very same Jakku where Rey was left and grew up on. The Jakku Observatory was part of a network of observatories across the galaxy, built by none other than Emperor Palpatine himself as part of those death contingency plans.
Wow, not gonna say, but wow, his plans, Palpatine's plans is very detailed there. His plans really drive the plot further and further and further.
Not all that much is said about the Jakku Observatory, but we do know some crucial details about it. One, that it housed ancient Sith relics. Two, that in building it, he had to bore down to the center of the planet. And three, that Palpatine outright says he considers Jakku very important to his plans. To quote from the book, Palpatine told him that once the world was verdant, overgrown with green and home to oceans. He said that though the surface of the world no longer shows it, the core still has that vital spark of life essence. Are you ready? Rax asked Palpatine's old advisor. I am. Palpatine lives on. We will find him again out there in the dark. Everything has arranged itself as our master foretold. So we have ourselves a mysterious station that houses powerful ancient Force relics built by the Emperor who is paranoid about dying, which drills down to the core of a planet that we're explicitly told has untapped life essence. And all of this is happening on Rey's home planet, a planet where, mind you, she has no memories of her parents or her childhood.
Huh, that's very interesting. quite sus to have such coincidence, right? Is it really truly pure coincidence, or maybe something else?
A desert planet that, according to the Star Wars Episode 9 trailer, we're gonna be revisiting in this latest movie. If that doesn't get your midichlorians in a twist, I don't know what will. So we've got ourselves a motive, a method, and a location, all of which coming from Palpatine's side. But what about Rey herself? Have there been any clues to this being her possible origin in the movies? Well, yeah, actually, there's been plenty of evidence toward that. We've certainly seen signs of a possible dark side connection from her, and it all begins here, the Mirror Cave from The Last Jedi. When she first begins her training with Luke in The Last Jedi, she's immediately drawn to this mysterious tunnel underground, which symbolically leads directly to darkness.
There's something else beneath the island. A place. A dark place.
Balance. Powerful light, powerful darkness.
It's cold. It's calling me.
You went straight to the dark.
But that's not all. Rey gives into it, even after being warned against it by Luke. She descends into the cave to find her parents. It's a clear parallel to Luke's trip into the cave in Dagobah during his training, but instead of being fearful of what she sees inside like Luke is, Rey is calm, as she herself says.
I should have felt trapped or panicked, but I didn't. Or I knew it was leading somewhere.
But here's the biggest kicker. When Rey asks to see her parents, she sees two figures morph into one, and then a reflection of herself appears. It's odd, right? It's like the cave is playing a prank on her. Despite her being comfortable in this place and seemingly mastered its use, she ends up not getting the answers that she wanted out of this thing.
So MatPat is trying to say that maybe it might be it's just a prank, bro. Come on, man. Sorry. I have to do that. I'm sorry.
I mean, this cave is either the world's biggest jerk, or it actually did answer the questions she asked it. Consider this. Maybe it doesn't show her parents because she has none. Maybe it shows her two figures merging into one because she only does have one parent. Palpatine, which is then revealed to be herself because that's all there is. There's Palpatine and then her. She's a clone of Palpatine, or a little girl who was manipulated by Palpatine, or whatever symbolism and explanation you want. Take your pick. I'm not exactly sure what she is, just that she was created or manipulated in some way by Palpatine as a revenge plot. And lastly, let's think about what this would mean for the story. First, it would address one of the biggest mysteries of these last three movies in a satisfying new way. Instead of Rey's parentage literally being a throwaway plot thread, something used to string us along or make some wider point about not being special, it suddenly would have a payoff established and believable within the existing lore. Clones and force manipulation are canonical things that every casual fan of this series knows. No need to have Mary Poppins flying through space this time. And after the controversial reception of the last movie, and then Solo after it, Star Wars needs something huge that's gonna be well liked by pretty much all audiences who go to see this thing. It's also pretty easy to retcon this into the story as it's going. I mean, sure, Kylo Ren in The Last Jedi tells Rey that her parents are nobodies, but how would he know the Emperor's plot? How could he know the Emperor's plot? He especially wouldn't know about the Emperor's secret plan because this was Palpatine's last big secret. Sheev's contingency plans brought back his empire through the First Order, and now the highly force-sensitive girl with questionable parentage that just so happens to be on the planet where he has a weird laboratory is starting to get lured away by the dark side. I don't know about you, but that certainly feels like a viable candidate for Palpatine's replacement. Thematically, it works well too. It makes all 9 movies in this franchise about the Skywalkers and the Palpatines, our heroes and our villains. The prequels are all about Anakin Skywalker growing up under the guidance of Darth Sidious, a corrupting force. Then you have the original trilogy, all about the Skywalkers, both Anakin and Luke, dealing with Palpatine and his Emperor at the height of its power. And now this new trilogy is about the new wave of Skywalker, Luke passing it on to Kylo Ren, who, remember, is Leia's son, a Skywalker, even if she's never really called that, dealing with Palpatine from beyond the grave in the form of Rey. There's also that good old George Lucas quote that we mention all the time.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
Well,
yes, once again, his quote, it's like poetry. It's like poetry, it rhymes.
Rey being connected to Palpatine actually sets up the potential for a rhyming story with Kylo Ren, the character that we've seen as Rey's counterpart through these movies. He's a villain, sort of, but at the end of Force Awakens, we see him flirt with being good. In The Last Jedi, that struggle continues. Meanwhile, we have ourselves Rey, who's been flirting with the darkness. She's exposed to it more and more. So if Kylo were to emerge from the darkness and Rey were to descend into it, bam! Classic Star Wars counterpoint parallelism. It's poetic, it's satisfying, and darn it, what a great twist for the girl to be the main villain. And most importantly, if this theory were to be true, it's steeped in enough grounded lore and established characterization that fans won't have petitions to remake the whole darn thing. But again, I've made strong cases for theories that would have reflected excellent storytelling in the past and been wrong before, but you know what, it's fine. I'm not bitter much. So there.
It's like, it's okay, I'm not bitter much. You're close, but not always so correct. Like, you were close, you're close.
There you have it, theorists. Rey was created by Palpatine, or his loyal followers in the event of his death, on Jakku at the Jakku Observatory. That's why we hear his laugh. And why, by the end of Rise of Skywalker, she'll have gone complete villain. It explains Rey's natural talents with the Force, her inclination towards the dark side, and Palpatine's return in the upcoming film, all while being super poetic and emphasizing the classic Star Wars themes about the struggles between good and evil.
It rhymes.
And let's just face it, it's a great twist to have this girl who's been set up as our hero be the ultimate villain all along. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And cut. Then that empire must be deemed a... I need a glass of water after that voice. It wasn't even close. I don't even know why I tried. Why did I choose to write that in the script? It's like, here, let me write in an opportunity for me to show the internet how much I suck at impressions. At least it's a different sounding voice, I guess.
Ouch. Well, technically speaking, MadPat, you did a very good job. I think that's room for improvements, but you did a wonderful job. Thumbs up. Wait, I want to see the meme at the back. I'm sorry.
What?
You knew my father? Yes, I did. I'm sorry.
In the upcoming film, all while being super poetic and emphasizing the classic Star Wars themes about the struggles between good and evil. And let's just face it, it's a great twist to have this girl who's been set up as our hero be the ultimate villain all along. But hey, that's
yes, I did.
just a theory.
Oh my gosh, that meme is... Man, is going way too far. I mean, drop into flammable... my gosh, why? Well, let's do the outro. Thank you so much for watching this video together with me. I hope that you find this video very interesting, very unique, and maybe MadPat is wrong. I'm sorry, MadPat. But anyways, if you do like this video, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and comment down below if you have any share bars. Down below. And also, if you have sincerest appreciation to all your support and encouragement for my work, thank you so much for positivity and wholesomeness. And I hope to see you all in my next video. But hey, that's just a theory, a film theory, and cut. And I hope to see you all in my next video. Bye bye! Subscribe! Alright, that's good. I need to readjust the camera one day. My back is not really hurts. It genuinely hurts. Let's see, this is 16 minutes, 15 minutes, and 16 minutes. Okay, doable. It's all pretty doable. It's all pretty doable, yeah, it's all pretty doable. La Lagoon. Ah, come on, do it. Come on. Don't be like this. Come on. It's not appearing. Ah, bingo! There you go.
The Goo Lagoon.
The Goo
So-
Lagoon. Bingo. It's working now. Hi everyone, it's me. Are you ready, kids? Are you ready, kids? SpongeBob SquarePants. Are you ready, kids? SpongeBob. Sorry. The secrets. Under the goo. Under the goo lagoon. Under. Goo lagoon. The secrets. Oh, sorry. I should put this. What's that? Hello everyone, it's me, and today I'm sorry. Hello everyone, it's me. Are you ready, kids? Aye, Captain SpongeBob SquarePants. Sorry. Let's try this. I shall put this over here. Hello everyone, it's me. Are you ready, kids? Aye, Captain SpongeBob SquarePants. The secrets under Goo Lagoon. Let's go.
The Goo
Welcome.
Lagoon. So peaceful, so sunny. Observe the fish children as they frolic and play. And yet, underneath its murky depths, a mysterious ooze bubbles forth. Be it good or be it ill. What is the secret hiding in the depths of the Goo Lagoon? Only time and this episode will tell.
You must understand that they work very hard to do these accents. They're just amazing. I'm sorry. Let's do this again. Oh my gosh. One more time. Hello everyone, it's me. I'm sorry. Hello everyone, it's me. Are you ready, kids? Aye, Captain SpongeBob SquarePants. The secrets under Goo Lagoon. Let's go.
The Goo Lagoon. So peaceful, so sunny. Observe the fish children as they frolic and play. And yet, underneath its murky depths, a mysterious ooze bubbles forth. Be it good or be it ill. What is the secret hiding in the depths of the Goo Lagoon? Only time and this episode will tell.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Film Theory!
Hello internet, welcome to Film Theory. Hello.
Where I'm ready to get to the
I'm ready.
bottom of every unsolved mystery, every unanswered question, every age-old riddle from nostalgic Nickelodeon shows. And today we're covering these things. Now, let me give you some backstory first, because this isn't as random as it might first seem. You see, recently I finished filming a series for Nickelodeon that was basically film theory, but for classic Nicktoons. It was like a dream come true. Getting
Nicktoon series, Nickelodeon series.
to work with a channel that literally was my childhood. We did episodes on rocket powers, crazy skateboarding moves, Hey Arnold's Pigeon Man, Avatar The Last Airbender's Flying Sky Bison, all really cool stuff. We even did 2 episodes dedicated to everyone's favorite absorbent yellow porous rectangle, SpongeBob.
SpongeBob SquarePants!
One topic we analyzed was the Goo Lagoon, which, if you're not familiar, is literally a pool of water under the water that all the characters treat as a local beach. And shockingly, there is a real-life answer to that one. Pools of water underwater are totally a real-life thing. I'm not gonna spoil how it works, you're gonna just have to watch that episode when it finally comes out. But one thing that we didn't cover in that video that I thought would make a fascinating episode over here were the mysterious purple sludge blobs that come from under the surface of the lagoon. You see, SpongeBob SquarePants episode 185, titled It Came From Goo Lagoon, revolved around the discovery of mysterious goo bubbles that floated into Bikini Bottom by way of this underwater beach area. The bubbles provide hours of fun for SpongeBob and Patrick, who discovered that they were bouncy and purple, and according to Patrick,
It tastes like liquid.
but for Sandy Cheeks, Bikini Bottom's resident scientific squirrel, the bubbles were something to be wary of.
Stop! Those bubbles are dangerous!
A potential danger that threatened the very existence of Bikini Bottom. After a lot of floating around and exploring the many joys of the bubbles, the episode ends with a giant goo bubble bursting over the town. Unlike Sandy's prediction, it's not catastrophic, but everyone does get themselves a little messy. Mr. Krabs cashes in on the whole mess, and all's well that ends well for our little underwater pals. But it's weird, right? What are these things?
True, what are those things? That's very strange.
The entire time you're waiting for an explanation, and that explanation never comes. I mean, why are they coming from the Goo Lagoon? And why is Sandy so afraid of them? It all could just be a bunch of throwaway plot threads to make the episode more exciting, but I don't think so. It feels like there was more thought put into this thing than the episode lets on. One thing we've talked about a lot in past SpongeBob theories is the fact that series creator Steven Hillenburg was a marine biologist. And so for as fantastical as a lot of this show seems, there is a decent amount of it that's rooted in cold, hard marine biologist fact. Like I said, the Goo Lagoon itself has a scientific explanation, so why not the goo bubbles that come from the Goo Lagoon? So I decided to look a little bit closer as to what was really going on here. And oh man, the conclusion of today's episode is gonna blow your mind. I mean, we're not afraid to get dark here on Film Theory, and SpongeBob sometimes deals with some very serious topics like ocean pollution, but this one is pretty awful. Sandy had every right to worry. So what's the dark secret lurking at the bottom of the lagoon? Let's just dive into it. Using the episode
Let's just dive into it.
to guide us, let's make a list of everything we know about these bubbles. First and most obviously, these balls are made of some sort of purple goo or sludge. You can see how thick and viscous they are just from watching the episode.
It's so gooey!
So we already know that we're dealing with an unusual color of goo that exists under the ocean, but we also know that they're able to float and bounce. Not only do we see SpongeBob and Patrick floating above the lagoon while sitting on the bubbles, we also see them bouncing on the surface of them. The bubbles are also sticky. It sticks like glue! Once a bubble latches onto you, they're pretty tough to shake off, like in this scene with Patrick. Speaking of Patrick, he also tells us they're stenchy. Patrick complains that the smell of the bubbles makes his nose tingle.
The smell makes my nose tickle.
And you know it's gotta smell bad because this is coming from a creature who doesn't even have a nose to smell it in the first place.
Oh yeah, huh? Wait, that's true. That's really true.
And if Sandy's to be believed, the goo bubbles may also be dangerous.
How many times do I have to tell you that That stuff's dangerous.
Sandy, for whatever reason, is utterly convinced that the bubbles pose a grave danger to everyone in Bikini Bottom. We never see any evidence of this, considering that when the big one bursts, it only leaves harmless goo behind, but Sandy's concerns are definitely worth making note of. So that's a pretty decent chunk of information all crammed into a 23-minute episode.
Dangerous.
Now put a pin in it, or actually don't, because you'll wind up popping our little goo bubble.
Team Terrorist Pete.
Hold on to that list, because it's time to start putting some potential explanations to the test.
Theory number 1, pollution.
There are plenty of long-held
I love the accent.
theories that SpongeBob is actually a show all about the ways the ocean is being polluted, and it's pretty clear that there's some truth in a lot of these theories. There are countless examples of pollution showing up on the show. Heck, if you kept watching that diving clip from a minute or so ago, you'll see SpongeBob blocked from reaching the water's surface because of a layer of human pollution. That took a turn for the worse. In one episode, Mr. Krabs looks forward to making money off the endless summer that global warming will cause by opening himself a pool. One popular fan theory even surmises that the entire show is an allegory for global warming, with SpongeBob representing human impact as a kitchen sponge, Patrick representing Western civilization because he's lazy and lives under a rock, their words not mine, and greedy Mr. Krabs represents big capitalist corporations. Look, I'm not saying I believe that theory, just that it exists, and that there are people out there who do believe it. We are equal opportunity theorists here, folks. I've come up with some pretty outlandish ones myself, though come to think of it, it might be fun to do a theory review at some point, similar to meme review. Anyway, Steven Hillenberg, in interviews, would mention that pollution was a personal concern of his. One of my favorite quotes from Steven actually comes from an interview on that exact topic. My biggest nightmare is that I'm gonna be at the beach one day, and one of these SpongeBob dolls is gonna wash up on the shore like garbage. So, could the goo of Goo Lagoon be pollution of some form? Like oil from an oil spill or something? Maybe. If you look at this YouTube video featuring scenes from It Came From Goo Lagoon, you'll see that its description reads, "Welcome to Goo Lagoon, a relaxing retreat for the residents of Bikini Bottom." Despite the strange ongoings, SpongeBob and Patrick have fun on the polluted bubbles. Now, I wouldn't put too much stock into the information contained inside the description of a video, unless of course we're talking about the links in the top line of the description of any of our videos, because you know that those are always going to be important, be they sponsorship, subscription, or merch link. But in this case, the video here was posted by Nickelodeon's official UK channel. This is an official outlet, people. Plus, pollution spills tend to float because the oil that tends to leak out is less dense than the salty ocean water that it floats on. So,
which is unfortunate if you think about it, with all the oil spill onto the oceans. How about the ocean life? How about the marine life? Please have a heart and do your part. Reduce pollution.
You got the flotation, and you got Nickelodeon UK supporting this theory, but that's really where the evidence for the pollution theory starts to run dry. Pollution spills, whether it's liquid asphalt in the Ohio River, slurry oil in the Gulf of Mexico, or diesel fuel up in Alaska, all tend to be brown or black. Definitely not a bright purple, which in my mind is going to be one of the most important features of the goo bubbles that we have to account for in our theory. Plus, Patrick putting the goo bubble in his mouth and being unaffected by it doesn't exactly line up with pollution or any form of toxic waste. Though it may have been the obvious first choice, I have a feeling we can come up with a better theory than this one.
True, maybe it does make a sound point. Somehow still alive.
Theory number 2, algae.
Now, when I say algae, you're probably thinking of that weird green moss that grows on top of the water that you always wanted to touch as a kid, but you never did because you were always a bit worried that it would poison you. Was I the only one with that? Yes? No? Leave a comment down below. Let me know if I was just the weird kid who was worried about this either poisoning me or drowning me. Well, I mean, obviously I was the weird kid, but I mean in this one select instance. Anyone else relate to this? Just me? Let me know if I was alone. Anyway, we're not talking about that kind of algae.
Especially when there are different types of algae involved in the entire world. Different variations, different varieties, different variants of algae. Some are good, some are bad, some are really bad.
Algae comes in all kinds of shapes and colors and species, and one of them, the Valonia ventricosa, looks a lot like the goo bubbles in SpongeBob. Also known as bubble algae, or sailor's eyeballs, this single-celled organism is found throughout the world in tropical and subtropical ocean regions. You heard that right, this thing is a single cell. But not only does it have bubble in its name, it behaves a whole heck of a lot like the goo bubbles that we see in the show, able to float float and bounce along different surfaces on the floor of the ocean, as well as appearing to float through the water. Bubble algae is also known for rapidly spreading. If one bubble pops up, others are sure to follow quickly thereafter. It's something of a notorious scourge amongst aquarium enthusiasts who know that if they find one in their tanks, there's gonna be a lot more to come. The goo bubbles behave similarly. Early in the episode, we see just one, but mere hours later, the bubbles have become an epidemic, prompting news reports and general town panic.
So you're trying to say that it may be an algae, right? Interesting.
Oh, what about that vibrant purple color? Though Valonia ventricosa is usually some shade of green, the color can actually vary as widely as silver, teal, or blackish, ultimately determined by the quantity of chloroplasts inside that one cell.
Chloroplasts! The more you know.
Can it be purple? Kind of? Maybe? No, not really. And while that's already a stretch, the point of evidence that really kills this theory is the goopiness. This algae is hard. It looks like a smooth pearl or ball. It's not oozy and gloopy like the sludge bubbles that are coming out of the Goo Lagoon. So again, we're back at square one. Or should I say, SquarePants 1.
SquarePants! Get it?
Oh, I get it!
It's like silence. Oh, I get it!
But hold on, all you sad Squidwards out there. I've got an answer that matches pretty much everything that we see going on in this episode. The secret goo underneath Goo Lagoon is none other than dead, rotting jellyfish.
Theory number 3, dead jellies.
My final theory for the goo bubbles is that they're not bubbles at all.
Pollution, algae, dead jellyfish.
But instead creatures that naturally look a lot like bubbles instead. Jellyfish. Now, jellyfish are a huge part of SpongeBob SquarePants the show, with Bob and the gang constantly going out jellyfishing and looking to nab jellyfish as pets. Heck, they've even thrown parties in SpongeBob's house. And while most in the show are a translucent pink, throughout the series they've also been shown to be purple, like the king jellyfish, and even blue. We also know that they produce jelly, leaving behind a goo that looks very similar to what we see coming out of the Goo Lagoon. But I'm not here telling you that these bubbles are live jellyfish, or the jelly that they spit out. I am here today telling you that SpongeBob and Patrick in this episode are swimming around with and covered in dead, rotting corpses of jellyfish. Get this, mysterious purple goop has been washing up on beach shores of Norway, and it looks almost identical to the gloppy, drippy goo bubbles that we see in this episode of SpongeBob. In death, jellyfish corpses darken in color as decomposition takes place, explaining why the real-life goop on Norway's beaches is such a deep, rich shade of purple, and why the goo bubbles in the Goo Lagoon would be darker than the live jellyfish that we've seen previously on the show. The bouncing and the floating of the goo bubbles, well, that too is easily explained away by the nature of the lagoon. Shoot, I wanted you to have to go over to that show I did with Nickelodeon and watch their video to prove to Nickelodeon that I'm popular and worth working with again. Oh, darn it, but it's taking them so damn long. True story, we filmed this thing back in July, and the level of editing that series requires has gotta be less than what we do every week here on Film Theory. Anyway, fine, I'll reveal the solution from that episode, but you gotta promise me at some point down the line when I point you in another episode of Film Theory to go over and watch that show and comment there how much you love MatPat and how eager you are to see him.
OMG, I love MatPat! Can't wait to S33. I don't understand what it means.
On Nickelodeon. I was
H_I am
really planning on them having uploaded the series by this point, so I'm just gonna go for it. Okay, fine. In that episode, I reveal that the Goo Lagoon itself is most likely an underwater brine lake, an area of super salty water inside the ocean. The saltier water means it's more dense than the water around it, which is how you get a separate pool of water underneath the water.
Okay, it's like having water underwater. Okay, I'm stupid, but please teach me more. Thank you so much. I'm sorry.
It's a density gradient, with the super salty water being denser than the slightly less salty water all around it. Therefore, all dead jellyfish goo would need to be, in order to prove that it could bounce along the surface of the Goo Lagoon, is be less dense than those super salty pools. And we already know that jellyfish are indeed less dense than the Goo Lagoon, because it's been scientifically proven that jellyfish are 95% water, making them hardly more dense than the water that they float around in. That in turn explains how the goo bubbles are able to float through the ocean water as well as bounce on top of the denser brine lake water. How about the way the goo bubbles cluster? Well, that one's easily explained as well. Jellyfish cluster naturally. They tend to travel in groups called blooms, and sometimes rough winds, swells, and currents send them to shore all at once. So when they die, they tend to die together, exactly the way they lived, explaining why the goo bubbles would show up together, why there would be such a massive pool of goo in this one concentrated area. Another point in favor of dead, rotting jellyfish being the cause of this whole thing, the smell. Remember what SpongeBob and Patrick said earlier.
Oh, the smell makes my nose tickle.
When dead jellyfish wash up on shores, they emit a terrible, overpowering smell, which explains why the characters would call them stenchy. I mean, they are dead bodies after all.
Wait, I'm just noticing that everything is underwater, so theoretically speaking, is it possible for you to smell underwater?
Bodies are not particularly known for their pleasing smell. But why here, you might be asking? Why are there so many dead jellyfish in this one concentrated pool? Well, a lot of it goes back to what Goo Lagoon is. Because it is this super salty brine lake, it would be almost immediately deadly to any jellyfish that touched it, which explains the dead bodies. But there is another explanation here. You see, large blooms of jellyfish are on the rise, which many think is tied to increasing water temperatures because of global warming. As a result, jellyfish are starting to pose problems for nuclear power plants, clogging pipes that run ocean water in to cool the reactors. And some places, like South Korea, have created jellyfish murder robots to solve this very problem. Basically, these things are robotic search and destroy sea blenders for slaughtering hundreds of jellyfish at a time.
Wait, what? Wait, seriously? Okay, I didn't know it existed.
With fishermen comparing
I feel so stupid.
the texture of the dead jellyfish goo to margarine, which thereby makes this entire thing rooted in the type of science the creator of the show wanted in the first place. This episode isn't a warning about pollution in our oceans, it's instead an episode warning us about the dangers of global warming. We're gonna have too many jellyfish and not enough peanut butter fish. Probably the most dad joke I've ever made. So, there
Get it? Peanut butter and jelly. So that is... I'm sorry. Jellyfish, peanut butter.
you have it, friends. We have ourselves the color, flotation, smell, the fact that it's not toxic so Patrick can taste it reasonably without any negative effects, a reason for it being there, the stickiness, all of it is hashed out through this one explanation. I don't know about you, but it looks to me like SpongeBob and his pals are in fact playing with the corpses of their ocean peers. And when those bubbles pop at the end of the episode, everyone is covered with dead, gooey bodies. Is it gross? Yeah. Morbid? Absolutely. Great television? You betcha. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And cut.
Wow. The more you know, I guess. The more you know. I really learned a lot from this video. Well, thank you so much for watching this video together with me. I hope that you find this video very educational, and I also hope that you learned a lot from this video together with me as well. If you do like this video, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to my channel and comment down below if you have anything to share with us. Once again, it is... like, share, and subscribe to my channel and comment down below if you have anything to share with us. Don't forget to follow my channel and sincerely appreciate all of your support and encouragement for my work. Thank you so much. You are all the best. Thank you, and I hope to see you all in my next video. But hey, that's just a theory, a film theory, and cut. And I hope to see you all in my next video. Bye bye. Thank you. Subscribe. Alright, that's good. I probably time finish like more than 1 hour. Not definitely more than 1 hour. Let's be nice and kind. Alright, let's start. Hello everyone, it's me. And today, let's be kind, let's be nice, understanding, and open-minded. Thank you so much for being so respectful. Humdrum. Hello everyone, it's me. And today, let's be nice, let's be kind, understanding, and open-minded. Thank you so much.
You're trapped in a house, alone. The doors won't open, the windows won't break. During the day, nothing much happens. But at night, well, let's just say you're not alone anymore.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Film Theory!
Hello Internet, welcome to Film Theory. Hello, thank you.
Bringing the spooky to you way before Halloween comes around. Still didn't beat the retailers, though. I mean, there are jack-o'-lanterns and scarecrows on display at my local grocery store right now. Come on, people! Let summer have its time! Today,
Know that this video came out in the year 2019, so let's be understanding. Thank you.
though, in that spirit of horror, we're covering what I consider to be a modern-era Blair Witch project. A homegrown YouTube horror story that's put me more on edge than anything I've seen in theaters for the past few years. There's a certain comfort you have in structures, you know? If a movie's rated PG-13 or R, you know the level of scare that they're gonna be able to reach within that movie.
Molly started not sleeping tonight. I need new pants. Call therapists.
And there's a level of comfort there. You know something has to be commercially marketable to make it into a theater, and whether you realize it or not, that gives you a certain level of safety. Stories in movies have 3 acts after all, and whether the resolution of that
Setup, confrontations, resolution.
that movie is good or bad, it's still a movie. It's still going to have to resolve. Horror stories that exist online, though, don't work that way. It's the sort of horror that you can't find anywhere else. It's raw, it's unpolished, it's unpredictable. It rips away all of those safety nets that we hold dear, and as a result, it's able to deliver experiences that truly chill you to the core. Which is why today we're talking about Hi, I'm Mary Mary, a channel I've had my eye on for a while, and one that, after I covered Local 58, a lot of you requested me talk about. Fair warning, this is not one to watch at night. Or in headphones, honestly, because the sound design is literally the most unsettling part of it. Partly because
Okay, so right now it's daytime, and unfortunately I'm wearing headphones, so sorry.
the creep factor, but mostly because audio normalization is not a tool in Mary's tool set. Now, for the majority of you who've never heard of this channel, let me give you a little bit of background. Hi, I'm Mary Mary was created in 2016 with a video simply titled Hello, where we're introduced to Mary, a girl who awakens in a house with no memory of how she got there. What she can tell us is that she's in what she thinks is her parents' house, or at least a copy of it, and she's unable to leave. The doors are locked. The windows won't break. She has a camera and access to the internet, but otherwise, she's completely alone. Even on the internet, even when she has access to Twitter, which, let's be honest, I know this is supposed to be a horror series and all, but Twitter without people screaming at you doesn't sound like a nightmare, sounds more like a dream come true. During the day, nothing much happens. But at night, well, maybe Mary isn't as alone as she thinks she is. The first video ends abruptly, as we catch a glimpse of a shadowy woman wearing a black veil. Over the next few uploads, we're introduced to the scariest 4 housemates you could ever want. 4 distinct entities, each acting in their own unique way, each stalking and attacking her as she tries to survive inside the house. For the majority of the series, she spends her time in that home, learning the rules of this new reality that she suddenly found herself in. Eventually, however, she stumbles into a new location, somewhere outside, a place she calls the garden, a place where she's finally able to catch a break from all the monsters that exist inside her house, a place where she's joined by a version of herself dressed all in white. But even that soon reveals itself to be a trap. As she frequents the garden to escape from her home more and more, even the garden begins to change into something much more sinister. And that's not all. Mary is a story that spills out of its videos and over into her blog and Twitter account, with each outlet providing different pieces to the puzzle of what's really going on in Mary's world.
So instead of like a literal physical world, it's more towards the world over here.
Additional details from the tweets, unreleased thoughts and images in her blog, secret messages hidden in that website source code. In the source code, people, Mary isn't just a horror story about one young woman's torture, my friends. It is a complete ARG experience just waiting for us to decipher. So what's the theory today? Well, we're just trying to figure out what's really going on. If the premise didn't already tip you off that there might be something deeper at play here, the sudden appearance of a mirror version of yourself in a Garden of Eden while you're fighting literal demons back in your horror house, seems like this story might be pretty darn symbolic. So that, my friends, is our goal today. Expose the evils haunting Mary, and in the process, answer the cries for help she's been leaving across her blog and Twitter. And before we begin, I know I already made a warning earlier about the series, but it does bear one final warning here as we get started. This series is really dark. It gets intense. It deals with some very real, very heavy subjects. And it does so in a way that feels very personal. So
yes, a lot of emotional, a lot of physical, a lot of emotional, a lot of psychological, a lot of mental stories.
what I would say is watch it for the entertainment, watch it for the scares, take it in small doses, but if any of the imagery or topics that it addresses starts to affect you in any way, we've included phone lines from around the world who are there and available for calls and help down in the description below. And again, the fact that I'm saying that sort of disclaimer on a series that was created by a young woman here on YouTube and not any of the other wacky stuff that we've ever covered on this channel should really tell you a lot about how effective Hi, I'm Mary really is at delivering a hard-hitting narrative. So
yeah, please be understanding. Please take care of yourself. Thank you so much. I'm worried. I want the best for you, for everyone. After all, we are all humans, aren't we?
with those disclaimers out of the way, let's begin. The easiest place to start our analysis, and the thing that starts toppling some of the other dominoes in this puzzle, is with the character Beauty, one of the monsters that stalks Mary around the house. Appearing only when Mary looks at a mirror, wearing a tight black or purple dress, and sporting a flawless mask, it's not too hard to identify Beauty as the embodiment of Mary's physical insecurities. Beauty constantly mocks Mary and laughs at her imperfections. This character represents Mary being haunted by the fears that she has over her own self-image. The fact that she won't be able to live up to the societal pressures of what she should look and behave like. Pressures from social media, mainstream media, even her peers. According to the Millennial Cohort Study, a study that looks into financial well-being, parenting, education, and health in children, almost 40% of girls who spend more than 5 hours a day on social media show signs of depression. And of those with depression, they're 2.5 times more likely than boys to be dissatisfied with their appearance. That is the essence of beauty. So, if one of the monsters that are haunting Mary is an expression of her own personal fears and insecurities, insecurities, in this case her self-loathing, it stands to reason that the others must be as well, right? Well, it's a theory that certainly seems to hold true for our second monster, the Veiled Lady, the first one that we're introduced to during those final moments in episode 1, found in the videos Hello, Worse, Discovery, Do Not Touch, Hide and Seek, Check-In, Rain, Gone, and Last 8 Months. When we first meet the Veiled Lady, she's just a creepy thing that we see at the end of a video. However, as the series continues on, and as more and more of the monsters show up in her house, the more aggressive the Veiled Lady becomes. Not only does she appear more frequently than all the other entities, and appear to be a ringleader of sorts, she's also the only one who's able to directly speak with Mary. In the video titled Hide and Seek, we get an interesting interaction where the Veiled Lady asks Mary to participate in a game of questions and answers. When Mary asks the Veiled Lady what she wants, we get ourselves a pretty straightforward answer.
You don't understand that you are worthless. You're repulsive. That you are unworthy of happiness.
And that answer fairly well spells it out. The Veiled Lady is symbolic of depression, and it's that...
Yeah, the symbolic depression. Everybody been through that. If you need help, please take care of yourself. Please. If you need help, there's a hotline involved. Thank you, MacPat, for educating us about such an important issue.
Depression that's acting as the root cause of everything else that's happening inside the house. The reason the Veiled Lady appears the most frequently of all the monsters, the reason she gets stronger as more of those monsters appear, is because they all feed into her. They all feed into depression. Take beauty, for instance. Those insecurities of not being good enough, of not meeting society's pressures for physical appearance, those all feed back into the depression that Mary is feeling, making it grow deeper, making it grow stronger. The same will hold true of all the other monsters that we're about to discuss. Later in the game of questions and answers, Mary asks a different question. Who are you? And the Veiled Lady responds, This is quite a literal answer. Mary does indeed know the names of all the issues that she's dealing with. Things like depression, self-doubt, anxiety, self-loathing. And if that doesn't drive our theory home, when Mary asks yet another question,
I don't understand. What does this all mean? I just don't get it.
The Veiled Lady responds with, oh, Mary, you already know. After all, you made us. Giving us pretty solid evidence that these monsters are indeed all products that exist inside Mary's own mind.
And not only that, these individuals happens in you, in me, in everyone, but in different levels. They can be big, they can be small. They can be small as like an ant. They still exist, no matter what, they'll still exist. After all, we are just human beings. It can be big as the size of like a planet, a solar system, a galaxy. It can be small as like what? An ant? An atom? An electron? But it will still remain there. Different levels. Different levels. If you're this sort of self-doubt, anxiety, self-loathing, depression, sadly speaking, we as human beings, if we want to continue living in the world, we need to help each other and overcome, make it so that the negativity becomes so small that you outgrown it. It will still be there no matter what, but you have outgrown it. Thank you so much for caring for one another. Thank you.
So that's 2 of the 4 monsters in the house, and quite honestly, they're the 2 most obvious. The others are a bit more speculative, but I think I've got a good handle on them. We'll call the 3rd one the Shadow, because it's a human silhouette found in the episodes Goodnight, Sleepwalker, and Rain. The shadow is most notably seen approaching Mary in situations where she feels safe. We see it looming over her while she's on the internet, and we see it crawling over the foot of the bed as she's sleeping. Other than that, it doesn't really do all that much outside of being creepy. There is, however, another notable trait that it seems to carry with it. Whenever it's around, we tend to see phrases flash on screen. I feel nothing is one of the most obvious. We can find this statement, along with other related sentiments on Mary's Twitter, saying things like, I hate looking at it. What does it even do? It just follows me around, and when I look at it, I feel all terrible. In fact, that theme of looking at the shadow and feeling bad seems to be the primary things that she's trying to communicate to us about this entity. In another tweet about the shadow, quote, I don't like looking at it. Staring directly makes me feel bad. This, in my mind, seems to point to the shadow being representative of regret. Regret is one of those things that lingers, that follows you around and that you can largely ignore. But once you start thinking about it, once you start looking at it, you start to feel really bad about yourself and the decisions that you've made in the past. It makes you feel like a terrible person. It's slow, it's creeping, and regret never truly goes away. Exactly the things that Mary says about the shadow on Twitter. Quote, it's watching me. Why doesn't it move quickly? It's like it wants me to feel like this. It's looking at me right now. At least, I think it is. I'm gonna go into another room and close the door. It will probably open it. Regret looms over you. It follows behind you. It's like a shadow. In Sleepwalker, we see the phrase, I messed up, over and over and over and over again on the wall as it creeps up behind her, and not seconds later, it's on the couch, uncomfortably close. The messed up tells us exactly what we need to know here. Mary made a bad decision, and the shadow is the entity that reminds her of that. Which is why the next phrase that we see in the briefest of flashes is, I get what I deserve. She made a mistake, and now she feels like the shadow is her punishment, the thing that she rightfully earned because of that mistake. Based on the intimacy of the shadow, the fact that it's able to get so close to her, the fact that it's largely associated with the bed and sleeping, I'd say this is a series of regrets born out of getting intimate too early in a relationship.
There's a saying I learned from my teacher. No point crying over spilled milk. We have to move on, we have to grow out of it, and look forward for a better future.
Getting pressured to do things that she wasn't quite ready for, which would not only prompt the regret that she's experiencing, but also that empty nothingness that she feels whenever she's reminded of that moment by the shadow. What should have felt special is now cold, hollow, empty. She feels nothing. Which leaves us with one final entity in the house, the darkness. Found in the episodes Darkness Moves, Do Not Touch, and The Last 8 Months, the darkness isn't so much a humanoid figure like the others, but rather a spidery essence that branches and creeps around. On Mary's Twitter, she plays a game with her future self called Guess Which Entity based on the ways to deal with it. And while she has a solid solution for 3 of those entities, the darkness is the one that confuses her the most. Let's look at those tweets and play along, shall we? Don't hang out near mirrors, obviously referring to beauty. Move around every once in a while. Don't settle in one place, and especially don't fall asleep. The reference to sleep here seems to indicate to us that this is the shadow. Run very, very fast and also hide, but you can't hide for long because she's smart enough to find you. So you have to do it all night. Well, since Mary specifically refers to this one as a she, we have a very obvious connection to beauty in the other tweet. This is definitely referring to the veiled lady. But then we get to tweet number 4, and we have ourselves one last remaining contestant in this little game show, the darkness. Still not sure about this one. Try your best to ignore it and stay far away from it. In the video Do Not Touch, she actually catches the darkness, but instead of being in her palm when she turns her hand around, it's stuck on her palm, with the words, I'm a monster, appearing on screen immediately after. At this point, we suddenly enter a frantic montage of scenes where we're shown all the other entities in the house in rapid succession. Something of note here is that boundaries suddenly seem to be gone. Beauty is no longer trapped inside mirrors and is able to remove her mask, revealing the ugliness underneath. The shadow has suddenly grown taller. The veiled lady looks way more enraged and aggressive than normal. Since all of this craziness happens right after the darkness absorbs itself into Mary, I'm inclined to think that this one represents anxiety. In Do Not Touch, Mary chases after the darkness. It's actually one of the few times in the entire series that she tries to face her demons head on. But
wait, I think that the darkness can also symbolize as the unknown. You don't know what you don't know, and sometimes it's scary. But if you don't know what you don't know, when you don't know what you don't know, it can be inciting, it can be creative. Why not change that feeling, become positive instead of negativity?
when she finally gets a handle on it, what does she get in return? Basically a panic attack. She's overwhelmed by all the entities attacking her all at once to a degree that the series has yet to see, and the behavior of anxiety matches the actions of the darkness. Anxiety can creep and slowly devour you, or it can just jump out and attack you all at once unprompted. It entangles you, it ensnares you, it amplifies all your existing problems to a new extreme. And anxiety has no face, it has no name or identity. Instead, it's the collection of all your other problems balled up and tangled into one. All of this matches how the darkness behaves when it's on screen in Hi, I'm Mary Mary. When it absorbs itself into Mary, suddenly all her existing problems get amplified and attack all at once. The darkness may not seem like a lot, but it's literally inescapable, able to strike anywhere at any moment. So those are our four monsters, with the house Mary's trapped in representing her mind. A house that is plagued by demons of depression, anxiety, regret, and self-loathing. But our story isn't done. There's a fifth and final monster we've yet to cover. One that doesn't roam the house. One that lurks outside. One that may just be the most sinister and dangerous evil of them all. But more on that in an upcoming episode. If you
Oh, come on, don't tell me. Oh, come on. Don't tell me it's a part 2.
You guys really like this one, maybe I can squeeze it in for next week. Let me know down in the comments if you like this one and if you want me to continue analyzing the series. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button you see on screen right now. And in the meantime, while you wait for that video to get released, check out the box to the left where I cover Local 58, an equally creepy, scary story right here on YouTube. An undiscovered gem. Go and check that one out. Just make sure that you stay safe. Oh yeah, and remember that it's all just a theory. A film theory. And cut.
Well, thank you so much for watching this video together with me. I hope that you are alright. Thank you so much for being so supportive, and sincerely grateful for your positivity and wholesomeness. Thank you all so much. You are all the bests. Number one, the bests. If you do like this video, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and comment down below if you have any share with us. Don't forget to follow my channel, and I sincerely appreciate all the support and encouragement for my work. Thank you all so much. You are all so kind, and I hope to see you all in my next video. But hey, that's just a theory, a film theory, and cut. And I hope to see you all in part 2. Bye. Thank you. Please be safe. Oh wow, that was dark. That was really dark. Everyone in the chat right now, everyone who is watching my live stream right now, hopefully everyone is doing fine. Everyone is doing alright. I'm just worried. I have ready to do, okay, 2 more. One is strike, donkey. Alright, the Joker is not the real Joker. Wow, it's super dark. It's super dark. Especially when there's the recent Japan case in Tokyo where there was a person dressed in the Joker's outfit, smoking, and just injuring a lot of individuals. They're just really, really, really sad. We are all human beings. Let's help each other, assist one another, lift everyone up together. Hello everyone, it's me. Joker. Hello everyone, it's me, and today, the Joker. Sorry, one time. Hello everyone. I'm sorry. My deepest apologies. Hello everyone, it's me. And today, Joker, please be welcoming and understanding. Thank you so much. Thank you.
In the world of Joker, today's theory will show that the biggest joke of all is on us. Hello, Internet! Welcome to Film Theory.
Hello Internet, welcome to Film Theory. Hello.
Where we just encourage you to smile. Just keep on smiling. Keep smiling. Keep smiling. Now, I gotta be honest. When I first saw an announcement about a Joker solo movie shortly after the release of Suicide Squad, I thought it was all one bad joke. I mean, let's just say that most people weren't super thrilled with that movie's characterization of such an iconic villain.
This handsome hunka. You don't want
Why,
no
what's
beef?
wrong?
You don't want no beef?
I smell like beef.
So coming back for yet another version of the character so soon was a surprise, to say the least. Then the trailer came out, and I was stunned. This wasn't gonna be a film about billionaire superheroes with bat nipples beating up thugs in rainbow-colored streets. Instead, it was gonna be a dive into the psychology of a man named Arthur Fleck, a man plagued by mental illness, a man forgotten by government and abused by society. A man just like any other, completely unremarkable, except for one small detail. We're told by the title of the movie that he's gonna rise to take the title of comics' greatest supervillain, the Joker. It's the sort of deconstruction of the genre that I love, and that I think we're all desperate for. Don't get
It's really important for us to be educated on such openness. That's true. That's really true. Please be understanding and try to learn from their point of view. Stand in their point of view. Stand in their shoes. Be in their shoes.
Don't get me wrong, I love the spectacle of superhero movies, but after more than a decade of flashy CGI battles with big villains and even bigger budgets, what gets me most excited are the ones brave enough to show us something darker, stuff like Logan or The Boys, stories set in universes of superheroes, but where good and evil aren't so clear-cut.
Where you must understand that we as human beings can relate to in our current society. Yeah.
The heroes aren't always the good guys. Films that don't just gloss over the rotten underbelly of a society that needs heroes to rescue it in the first place. And Joker seems to tick all those boxes. But there was something else that I found interesting about Joker when watching the trailers. I don't think it's real. Now, obviously the movie exists. That's not what I'm saying here. No, what I mean to say is that anytime you have a film telling such a close, personal story of a character who's clearly struggling with mental illness, it leaves open the possibility for misdirection, for the film to suddenly descend into hallucinations, for the camera itself to be an unreliable narrator as it depicts not reality as it's truly happening, but rather reality as its characters, or in this case Arthur Fleck, wants to see it. For an example of what I mean, just look at Fight Club, the ultimate example of a movie that's lying to you the entire time. And the more I looked into the trailers, interviews around...
True. Fight Club. The first rule of Fight Club. You don't talk about Fight Club.
On this film and the source material that inspired it, the more convinced I became. What we're going to end up seeing in Joker isn't going to be entirely real. The movie, or at least a sizable portion of it, is going to be playing out in Joker's own mind. What we're going to end up seeing on screen may not be what's actually happening in Gotham around the setting of the movie. But how and why? Let's look a bit closer, shall we? Let's start by dissecting Arthur himself. The trailers introduce us to Arthur Fleck, which, it's worth noting, is a new name for Joker's character. No official name has ever been given to the Joker in the main canon DC Comics, and Jack Napier, from the Tim Burton movies and the alternate universe White Knight, is about as close as we've ever come before. In fact, the team working on Joker made it pretty explicit that this story is entirely original, so no digging through deep comic lore is going to be helping us out this time around. It's
a new Joker.
Immediately communicated to us from the trailers that Arthur is suffering from some form of mental illness. Not only do we see him in therapy, but if you look close at his notepad, it outright confirms it. Reading, quote, "The worst part about having a mental illness is people expect you to behave as if you don't." This is also confirmed by numerous interviews done with the cast and crew of the film. According to actor Mark Maron in an interview with website NME, quote, "The approach that Todd Phillips has taken is more of an origin story and a character study of a mentally ill person that becomes the Joker," end quote. So we know that Arthur Fleck is dealing with some mental disorder, but what sort of illness is it? Clearly not all mental illnesses function the same way. So to better understand this character, and thus the movie he's a part of, we have to first understand his diagnosis.
Yes, and that's the reason why I'm such a huge fan of MadPat when he's doing this kind of videos in which we, as human beings, we can relate to it, learn from it, and thus benefit one another, benefit everyone, benefit society. Thank you so much. We need to be open about it, but at the same time, we need to be educated about it as well. Openness requires education, and I'm glad that MadPat is teaching us.
Looking at the trailers, we see a few curious details that could be symptoms of Arthur's illness. First, he appears to have inappropriate emotional responses, laughing without any sort of stimulus, laughing after being beat up, switching into and out of laughter instantly. And while out-of-nowhere, uncontrollable laughter is indeed a real medical condition known as pseudo-bulbar affect, there are more symptoms here that don't line up with that initial diagnosis. Symptoms such as moments of violent outbursts or inappropriate actions, smashing himself against protective screens, smashing himself against mirrors, painting his own tongue. Generally speaking, Arthur's movements feel awkward. Watching him walk and dance in both trailers feels uncomfortable, feels disjointed. He's jerky. His feet are moving in strange patterns. The illness also seems to be hereditary, with his mother needing at-home care despite appearing rather young, and in what otherwise would seem to be good health. All of these symptoms seem to point to Joker's vague mental illness being more precisely diagnosed as schizophrenia, a chronic mental disorder characterized by a breakdown between what someone perceives as reality and what's really happening around them. Look at this list of characteristics and think back to what we just talked talked about with regards to Arthur. Inexact motor skills, jerking arm movements, awkward gait, unusual gestures or postures, feelings of detachment, sudden anger, social isolation. It's almost an exact match for the behavior that we see Arthur exhibiting throughout these two trailers. And schizophrenia does indeed have a strong genetic component. Even the handwriting on his joke pad is a clue to his real diagnosis here. Notice how the writing gets more and more disorganized as it goes on? Well, compare that to what we see in this study from the paper Differences in Handwritings of Schizophrenia Patients. And you can clearly see the exact same style of traits. The size and pressure of the pen marks differ, it's messy and outside the bounds of the lines, the letters are poorly formed. Without treatment, people with schizophrenia tend to have problems in society because of a feeling that they've lost touch with reality.
So MedPads mentioned that there might be a treatment, there might be a solution, there might be, maybe, hopefully, we can find a cure. Maybe, hopefully.
Large part due to schizophrenia's key symptoms, delusions and hallucinations. And it's those two symptoms that seem really pertinent to our theory today about what is and isn't real in this new Joker movie. You see, in the lead up to the premiere of Joker, you keep seeing one other movie constantly being mentioned, 1982's The King of Comedy, a film directed by Martin Scorsese. Now, for as famous of a director as Martin Scorsese is, delivering iconic movies like Goodfellas, Taxi Driver, The Departed, and Raging Bull, King of Comedy tends not to be one of his better-known works. And yet, here it is, being cited as a key point of inspiration for what we'll end up seeing in Joker. Quote, "There's a connection, obviously, with the whole thing, but it's not as a direct connection." This is according to actor Robert De Niro, who plays the main character, a struggling stand-up comic in King of Comedy, and wouldn't you know it, is also a major stand-up comic TV show host that we see in Joker.
Robert De Niro really portrays the role that he does in the movie really well, in which we understand where he's coming from, and we really hate him. We really hate the character that he's portraying. It's horrible. But at the same time, we show understanding that it was back in the days, back in the 1970s, 19-something.
Outside of sharing this one actor in somewhat similar roles in a setting of a New York-style city in a crime-filled 1980s, the connections between the two films seem to go deeper, much deeper. In King of Comedy, we have ourselves Rupert Pupkin, a socially awkward and mentally ill comedian.
Always coming up with these great lines. I love them.
Who idolizes a stand-up TV host, eventually turning violent as he kidnaps and holds the TV host hostage just so he can get his 15 minutes of fame on the show.
I have a gun at my head if a man who identifies himself as the king. Hold on, but I'm reading from 2 cards. Tonight's show. You will never see me alive again. It's not grammatically correct, but I think you have the idea.
He does this, at least in part, to impress a young woman named Rita that he finds himself in love with. And what do we see in the Joker trailers? Well, we have ourselves a socially awkward and mentally ill comedian who becomes a villain that we know is prone to violence, a villain who somehow manages to wind up on the TV talk show of a famous TV comic, a man who, based on the trailers, is trying to use his comedy to impress a young woman that he happens to have romantic feelings for. So we have our...
The parallels there really does have some significant reference. Moreover, in the movie itself, it really shows how rotten a society, a fictional society nonetheless, but a society nonetheless, how rotten a society can be when it fails to be understanding, when it fails to help those that really need the help.
Ourselves a lot of key plot elements shared between the two movies, but even some scenes feel like they're direct parallels. Both characters live with their mothers.
Rupert! Are you crazy? What's the matter with you? People are sleeping. Lower it.
Both characters have exact wishes for how they'd like to be introduced.
Now, this is my introduction, and I'd like Mr. Randall, if he could, speak it word for word. I would appreciate that.
This is Randall's introduction to your monologue?
Yes, it is.
One small thing.
Yeah.
When you bring me out, can you introduce me as Joker?
Even shots like this of the Joker getting ready to walk out on stage is similar to a motif of shots used throughout King of Comedy.
Right now, Jerry is strapped to a chair somewhere in the middle of this city. Go ahead and laugh. Thank you. I appreciate it. Now, tomorrow you'll know that I wasn't kidding and you'll think I was crazy. But look, I figure it this way. Better to be king for a night than schmuck for a lifetime.
So why do all these parallels matter? Well, throughout King of Comedy, mixed in with the real-life events of Rupert kidnapping his TV idol, are Rupert's fantasies. His delusions are blended seamlessly with the scenes that are happening around them. There's no visual cue that we're suddenly in the middle of one of Rupert's fantasies, no special filters, no dream sequence fade, nothing.
Thanks, Mr. Pumpkin.
Don't mention it.
Rupert! Rupert, who are you talking to?
Mom!
What is it?
Please stop calling me.
It's terrific. It's great.
The only way that you can tell that these are Rupert's delusions is because of the subject matter. Rupert is best friends with the TV host. He gets married to Rita. He charms the audience on the show. And this technique of mixing the fantasy and the reality throws the entire ending of the movie into question. We're told that Rupert gets out of jail and becomes wildly successful because of all the press that his kidnapping scheme generated. But again, this is a movie where hallucination and reality blur. Is this all in his mind as he sits there in his prison cell? It could be, but it could also not be. The ending leaves it ambiguous.
And to be honest, the storytelling, the writers, they must have done a really interesting, unique job into making such a ahead of time piece.
Rupert Pumpkin, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Rupert Pumpkin. Wonderful. Rupert Pumpkin, ladies and gentlemen.
At the same time, it raises questions about Joker and what we've seen in the trailers. Certainly, the dark scenes of Arthur being beat up seem to jive with the reality of an 80s era Gotham, but what about the scenes in which massive crowds all wear clown masks while protesting the government? At first glance, one might think that this is a pretty typical scene in a Batman film. The main villain has enthralled the city with some kind of political message, perhaps turning him against the Bat, but this isn't a Batman film. That little kid right there, that is our future Batman. So it seems highly unlikely that he's gonna suit up to take down Mr. J. So that leads to the question, what's really happening here? Has Gotham actually turned against the Waynes in this movie? Or is Arthur fantasizing about some kind of grand revenge, where everyone in Gotham takes up his image and fights the power? We have some hints that it might be that latter option. Throughout the trailers, we're treated to two very different images of Arthur as a clown. One makes him look like the sign twirler he appears to be at the beginning of the trailer, while the other makes him look like the Joker as we traditionally know him. Whenever he's in the more standard suit, Arthur's life seems to be grounded in reality. He lives in poverty. He cares for his mother. He's barely making ends meet. He's struggling to become a stand-up comic. But whenever we see him in his Joker suit, suddenly everything changes. He's on stage. He's walking through crowds of people dressed like him. He's dancing around on stairs. Everything he does in this Joker suit seems to be his goals, his fantasies, which is why I believe they're exactly that. Fantasies, delusions, hallucinations. If he were truly the leader of this rebellion, would he be allowed to walk through the crowd in his clown makeup? While everyone is protesting in one direction, would he just be allowed to walk in the other direction? Consider this. All the signs in the crowd are about capitalism and the working class. Pause the trailers and progress frame by frame through them, and you can see these protests are for workers' rights. Does that seem to be the type of message that Arthur Fleck, the Joker, would be the figurehead for? Or is he just inserting himself into these protests as some sort of power fantasy?
Yes, in the story, it shows that it's not the villains who caused the problem. It's the society that caused the problem. And coincidentally, they need a leader, and coincidentally, he was chosen to be the leader. It's just sad in general. If the system works in the first place, this sort of problems would have never occurred. Or these sort of problems would have just diminished, or like becomes small.
This scene of him kissing the girl that he's trying to impress, does that sort of confident behavior look like it's coming from a man as shy and mousy as Arthur? I don't think so. I think these are all part of his hallucinations. The delusional world where he lives because of his mental illness. As he himself says in the final trailer,
for my whole life, I didn't know if I even really existed.
Let's face it, the comic book industry is no stranger to misleading trailers. Heck, Marvel's turned digitally altering their trailers into something of a sport, giving us a two-eyed Thor in Ragnarok's trailer, the de-hulking of Mark Ruffalo in the Endgame trailers, amongst dozens of other changes. Remember, I even made a theory about where the Soul Stone was based entirely on digitally edited shots from Infinity War.
And you must understand that Manpet was pretty wrong about that. Pretty wrong.
Yeah, thanks Marvel. Not gonna talk about that one anytime soon. But showing straight up fantasies from the movie is a brilliant way to misdirect fans. DC has even used this tactic before, showing an intimidating Superman in Batman v Superman's trailer that actually just came from one of Batman's dream sequences. Because we know that the Joker is gonna struggle with mental illness in this movie, there's some good reason to believe that he's not gonna be entirely connected to reality. I think there's a very strong possibility that every time we see Arthur as the Joker in this new movie, it'll only be in his head, a delusion. We know that there's a villain called Joker at some point, and that there is a clown-themed rebellion in Gotham, but it's about labor disputes. The trailers want us to believe that Arthur is the mastermind behind it all, which I'm not so sure about. Arthur Fleck just doesn't seem to be a social engineer like the Joker the trailers are making him out to be. Arthur is a tragic dreamer, just like Rupert in King of Comedy before him. Men whose greatest achievements exist sadly inside their own minds. Or, who knows, I could be wrong, but based on some early reviews that came out literally as we were editing this video,
one of Joker's strengths is that anyone will be able to argue their side about what was real and what was imagined.
It certainly seems like our theory may have predicted the punchline. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And cut.
Well, thank you so much for watching this video together with me. Please be understanding. Please be respectful. Please be polite. Please be open-minded, welcoming to these kind of individuals. Alright. Let's be nice, decent human beings towards one another for a better society. Thank you so much. If you do like this video, please remember to like, share and subscribe to my channel and comment down below if you have anything to share with us. Don't forget to follow my channel, and I sincerely appreciate all of your support and encouragement for my work. Thank you so much. It's very supportive, positive, wholesome. Thank you all so much for your encouragement. I'm really grateful. I'm really appreciative for it. And remember, but hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And cut. And I hope to see you all in my next video. Bye bye. Thank you so much. Please take care of yourself. Thank you. Wow, that was pretty dark. That was pretty dark. That was pretty dark. Alright, so this is more towards a light-hearted video, I guess. More light-hearted videos. Hello everyone, it's me. And today, strike. Last video for today. Last video. Shrek. Who are you? Donkey. Who are you, donkey? Donkey. I pronounced it right? No, there's a key. There's a K. There's a K. I'm sorry, there's a K. Sorry, there's an E. There's an E. Sorry. K. My bad. I'm sorry. I think I should remove one question mark. Hello everyone, it's me, and today let's watch Shrek! Who are you, donkey? One time. I messed up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hello everyone, it's me, and today let's watch Shrek! Who are you, donkey? Who are you?
And now I shall awaken her with true love's kiss.
Stop right there.
Stop.
Unhand me, you knave!
Unwanted kissing of sleeping women is a federal offense.
But she's my one true love. She'll only be awoken by true love's kiss.
Tell it to the judge, you creep.
Oh my God.
Watch The Crown.
Okay.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Film Theory.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Film Theory. Hello. Hey.
The show that turns your favorite bedtime stories into nightmare fuel. Today we're diving back into the Shrek franchise because, well, honestly I wanted to do something on an animated movie but didn't really feel like writing another prediction theory for Frozen 2. And Shrek is, well, he's always relevant. And I've been thinking about the
I love Shrek memes.
Franchise a lot, thanks in large part to the excellent analysis videos on the channel Shea Frillis Productions, which, if you've never heard of, does awesome videos analyzing all sorts of classic animated movies, but more on him and his work later. So what else is there to say about Shrek nearly 20 years after it was first released? Well,
literally 2 decades.
How about we finally put a definitive solution behind the mysterious origins of its most iconic character? I mean, as most of you know, the Shrek universe is chock full of fairy tale and nursery rhyme characters who, when the movie begins, are getting rounded up and turned in for a reward. All the big-name fairy tale characters are there. 7 dwarves, the 3 bears, Tinkerbell, Pinocchio, a talking donkey, 3 blind mice, but in the words of Sesame Street,
but one of these things just doesn't belong here.
But one of these things just doesn't belong here. Who is it?
Talking donkey? Have you ever really stopped to think about that? I mean, all these other fairy tale characters are super famous and easily recognizable. Even the generic characters like witches and ogres and princesses trapped in towers are tropes from countless other fairy tales. But a talking donkey? Where is he from? That, my loyal theorists, is the question that we explore today. What is the origin of Shrek's donkey? Because I think I have an answer. One that is provable beyond a reasonable doubt. And let's just say that the conclusion to this one is not giving us a happy ever after. If you search through fairy tale lore, there's really only one famous talking donkey to note. The titular character in the Brothers Grimm fairy tale, the donkey. It's not one that most people know, but basically it goes a little something like this. A rich king and queen are upset that they can't have a son, but then one day God blesses the couple and she suddenly gives birth to a donkey. She wants to kill it because, you know, donkey baby. But the king refuses, and so the couple raise it as their son. So we have ourselves a donkey who learns to speak and have manners. He even teaches himself how to play music. And this is starting to sound a lot like our donkey from Shrek, right?
Yeah, think about it. The coincidences are there. A bit sus, isn't it? Among us. I'm sorry.
Speaks English, he sings all the time, he can have decent enough table manners when he needs to, and is one of the few fairy tale characters who knows the way to Lord Farquaad's castle, suggesting a possible royal backstory.
Who knows where this Farquaad guy is?
Oh, I do. I know where he is.
Does anyone else?
that's not all. There's one really suspicious quote from the fairy tale that seems to lock this in as our donkey. Quote, "The young lordling once went out walking full of thought and came to a well. He looked into it and in the mirror clear water saw his donkey's form. He was so distressed about it that he went out into the wide world and only took with him one faithful companion. One faithful traveling companion." It's an especially weird detail for this fairy tale to include because that is all we ever hear about this other mysterious character. But using context clues, we can clearly identify this as someone who's a loner and is also comfortable traveling with a donkey. So that pretty much points to someone like Shrek.
Again, it's quite coincidental, right? Maybe it's Shrek, maybe it's not Shrek, but a bit sus.
Right? This is absolutely the origin story for our talking donkey, isn't it? It would be, until you get to the big twist at the end of the story. You see, the donkey and his companion go to another kingdom and make friends with the king, who marries his daughter off to the donkey because, you know, the donkey is depressed. You know, times were different back then, okay? Anyway, just as the donkey and his bride are about to, you know, celebrate their marriage night, the donkey takes his skin off to reveal himself to be a real boy. The king doesn't believe it, so the next night he sneaks into his daughter's room and watches the proceedings. There's a lot of reasons you weren't told this one at story time at night.
Oh wait, you are telling me that he watched them do that thingy, that yeah. Okay. It escalated really quickly.
Or reasons why people don't choose to adapt Grimm's fairy tales accurately. Anyway, suffice it to say, the king is impressed by what he sees. All the old people in the story die, and the donkey gets himself a wife and 2 kingdoms. But you can start to see our problem as far as this theory is concerned, right? The donkey in the fairy tale isn't a real donkey. It's just a human disguised inside of a donkey's skin. But one glance at Donkey and Dragon's offspring in Shrek the Third is all the proof we need that Shrek's donkey is 100% donkey and 0% human. Those are dronkies and dongans, no doubt about it. So with Grimm's donkey out of the picture, we're back at square one, which honestly kind of sucks because that would have been the best title and thumbnail ever, which means a return to the drawing board. So we know donkey is a fairy tale.
Back to the drawing board. You must understand that this donkey have with a dragon, and they come out multiple different donkey dragons like creatures. Children's
Tale character, otherwise he wouldn't be getting rounded up with all the others or worth any sort of reward. So is he one just made up for the purposes of these movies, or could there be another explanation for what's really going on here? Well, 2 years ago, in a now deleted Reddit post, a user named Yeremy V proposed a different possibility. That donkey did indeed hail from a fairy tale. In fact, one that is far more popular than Grimm's The Donkey ever was. Could Donkey be one of the kidnapped boys from Pinocchio? Is it possible that Donkey started as a human child, was stolen off of the street and shipped off to Pleasure Island, where he, like so many others before him, would transform into a donkey and eventually be sold off into slavery? Now, admittedly, that's a pretty dark backstory for a main character in a PG-rated franchise about an ogre who farts a bunch,
But you must understand that it's under the premise that they are all Disney's, so maybe I'm not too sure.
Would help explain why, in a movie full of celebrity cameos from history's most iconic fairy tales, we would spend so much time with an otherwise out-of-place talking donkey. And the rationale here doesn't just boil down to throwing up our arms and saying, well, they're practically the only other fairy tale donkeys of note, so he must be one of them. The clues pointing towards a Shrek-Pinocchio crossover are...
Ogres are like onions. Ogres have layers. Onions have layers. You get it.
So let's start peeling them back. First, let's look at what few details we can actually learn about Donkey's backstory based on some of the things he says throughout the movie.
For example, Pinocchio actually does exist inside Shrek's stories. Yeah, Shrek's story.
He says this in Shrek the Third.
Already starting to feel nauseous from memories of wedges and swirlies.
As Puss in Boots points out moments later, donkeys don't wear clothes. So this would suggest that Donkey was a human at some point in his life, specifically when he was a child. How else would he have been given a wedgie? Donkeys don't wear clothes, but human children absolutely do. Or at least they're supposed to. No screaming naked babies around here. Later on in that same movie, Donkey and Puss swap bodies and we get ourselves this short conversation.
Well, they were made in Madrid by the finest...
Oh, you'll learn to control that.
This seems to suggest that Donkey learned to talk as a donkey later in life. I mean, after all, who can remember what it's like learning to talk as a baby? If Donkey was a school-aged boy who got himself turned into a donkey on Pleasure Island, however, he would remember how hard it was to talk normally following his transformation. And
oh, that's the reason why you say that he's going to learn, get used to it, and okay. So he sort of developed the skills over time. I get the point.
How when it first happened, his normal patterns of speech started to get interrupted by uncontrollable donkey braids. And wouldn't you know it, that's not just me speculating here. It's exactly what we see happen in Pinocchio. When we watch Lampwick transform on Pleasure Island, we see two key things. One, that he is indeed able to continue speaking like a human despite being fully transformed into a donkey. And two, his normal speech starts to get interrupted with donkey noises.
Hey! You laugh like a donkey. Did that come out of me?
In fact, based on these scenes, we know one additional detail here. Boys who are transformed into donkeys but still able to talk fluently are sent back to Pleasure Island for a little bit longer until they fully lose that ability.
And what might your name be?
Alexander.
So you can talk.
Yes, sir. I want to go home to my mama.
Take him back. He can still talk.
This scene also demonstrates another key feature of how the donkeys get treated on Pleasure Island. They're allowed to keep their clothes until they're ready to be sold off to the salt mines. Here, we see a child who's gone full donkey get stripped of his clothes by the coachman and sent to the crates, whereas Alexander, our boy from earlier, is allowed to stay dressed. Now, this is important because Donkey in Shrek clearly has memories of being both a donkey and wearing clothes.
Yeah, you better run, you little punk no goodness, because today's a little Dunkin' Dumpy draws are over.
This donkey still allowed to wear clothes detail not only opens up the possibility of him getting called Donkey Dumpy Drawers, we know that Pleasure Island is specifically full of bullies. The boys are all trapped there because they misbehave. So another half-turned child making fun of Donkey for being scared and soiling his donkey drawers? Totally within the realm of possibility here.
It's quite dark for a family-friendly children's fairy tale. It's quite dark.
And lastly, it probably goes without saying, but it's definitely worth pointing out, it's clearly established that both Pinocchio and Shrek share the same universe. Heck, the first time we see Donkey, he's standing behind Pinocchio in line. Could this be DreamWorks' way of slyly suggesting that the two characters are linked? Maybe, maybe not. But if nothing else, it verifies that Shrek pulls from the Pinocchio lore. So
Maybe, probably.
It would make perfect sense for a Pleasure Island donkey to be walking around somewhere in this world. So the
Somewhere.
Pleasure Island theory gives us a source for donkeys who wear clothes, used to be human, and have learned to talk as donkeys. All of which line up with the few small details that donkeys let slip about his own past throughout these movies. But I just wish that there was something more, like one final clinching piece of evidence. Something that's a little less lore-based and a little bit more, I don't know, design-based, scientific. Brain blast! I got it! Look at their species. Donkey appears to be the exact same breed of donkey as the boys turned donkey in Pinocchio. Look at this! In Pinocchio, it seems like the Pleasure Island boys turn into one of two types of donkeys. Either all brown or all gray. No color at the tips of the ears, a lighter color along their stomach, and a little tuft of either black or brown hair on their head and down into their neck.
Wait. So you're trying to tell me that this part of the video is going to be biology of an animal? Of donkey species? Okay, the more you know, I guess. Let the lessons begin.
And now look at Donkey in Shrek. Same design. Gray, tall ears with no color at the tips, a lighter color of gray along his stomach, and a little tuft of black hair on his head and neck. This seems really important to point out because there are over 140 different donkey breeds. And these breeds all have very different hair lengths, very different hair colors, and very distinct markings. So the fact that Donkey is matching up to the exact type that we see coming out of Pleasure Island feels like the smoking gun that we were missing before. So at this point, I have little choice but to stamp this theory as Matt Pat certified fresh. Really, considering all this evidence, how could Donkey not be a now grown boy from Pleasure Island?
True. The coincidences are just very similar, isn't it?
theory has an answer for pretty much everything we know about the character. We've established 1, that it make him one of the very few famous fairy tale donkeys, 2, that he was once human, 3, wore clothes as a donkey, 4, learned to control his brain but can still talk in English, 5, was bullied in donkey form, 6, comes from a lore that also exists in Shrek, and 7, just so happens to be the exact species of donkey coming out of Pleasure Island. There is simply no other fairy tale or nursery rhyme out there that covers the spread the way the Pleasure Island theory does. Not even close. But if this is true, which it certainly seems to be, it opens up one very dark reality about Donkey, his personality, and what he wants to keep hidden about his past. Shortly after that Shrek the Third clip I played earlier, we get ourselves these lines where it seems like Donkey admits to his tragic origin story.
When you are clearly not aware of the underpants.
Let's just say some things are better left unsaid and leave it at that.
What first appears to be a joke about donkeys wearing underwear, according to this theory, actually becomes Donkey not wanting to address the horrific way he became a donkey in the first place. Some things are better left unsaid. He doesn't want to talk about his trauma, which is totally fine until you consider the timeline of events. Pinocchio's story begins with him as a lifeless toy. Let's call this stage 1. He then becomes a living toy, which we'll call stage 2. Stage 3 is when he becomes a partial donkey living toy for a while, before finally entering stage 4 at the end of the movie when he's turned into a fully grown human boy. Now, throughout the Shrek movies, Pinocchio appears exclusively in his stage 2 living toy form. Meaning, the events depicted in Shrek occur after Pinocchio comes to life, but before he's sent off to Pleasure Island and becomes a weird partial donkey creature. So in the Shrek films, Pinocchio has no idea that Pleasure Island even exists, but Donkey does. He's already been there. In fact, we know that he managed to escape, like we see in that Alexander clip.
And what might your name be?
Alexander.
So you can talk. Take him back. He can still talk.
We know Donkey has turned, but hasn't gone full donkey yet, like all the other kids that are being shipped off to the salt mines, meaning that he managed to escape before that happened. The long and short of what I'm saying here is that Donkey knows full well that the evil Pleasure Island scheme of kidnapping boys and selling them as donkeys into the salt mines is in full swing, even as the events of Shrek are taking place. The criminals running the Pleasure Island scheme are very careful not to ship off any boys turned donkeys off the island until they can no longer talk, because donkeys who can talk could feasibly tell people on the mainland about their criminal enterprise and shut the whole thing down. Here, we have ourselves Donkey, the lone fairy tale creature who could end all the suffering of so many boys. But does Donkey step up to the challenge of being a hero? Does he tell anyone about the ongoing horrors of Pleasure Island? Does he do anything to stop these atrocities?
Let's just say some things are better left unsaid and leave it at that.
He does not. Instead, he just follows Shrek around for a few movies, living it up, banging dragons.
In the morning, I'm making waffles.
He was turned into a donkey because presumably he was a bad kid. It seems like he hasn't improved with age. Orphaned boys are getting kidnapped and sold off by the boatload, and Donkey is letting it happen. Does this make Donkey a complete ass? I don't know, but in the end, there's definitely blood on Donkey's hands. Or, I suppose, hooves. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And if you want to see more Shrek, I suggest you watch our other video on Shrek's deadly farts. There is an actual scientific explanation for why his farts are so dangerous, and we go into that on the video to the left. Or you know what, do me a favor and check out that channel I mentioned earlier, Shay Frillis Productions. His analyses of classic animated movies coming from Disney and Pixar. He's incredibly insightful in his observations and is just funny to boot.
It's not the best, but it's my favorite, which is a pretty impressive feat considering how generic the story is.
I first discovered him through his videos on Shrek, and I've been watching him ever since.
But I don't think anyone ever takes a look at it and says, oh yeah, now that's one of the greatest sequels in cinematic history. Why am I Luigi?
He's doing great work out there. He's over 500,000 subscribers. Go out, show him some love, give him some of that valuable watch time that YouTube cherishes so much, and tell him Matt Pat sent you. And Shay Frillis, if at some point you want to do something together, let me know. I would love to talk to you about that. You're doing great work out there, man. Hopefully this gets you a bit more attention. So anyway, that's it for today. I need to start working on some scary theories for October. I'll see you then.
See you then. Well, thank you so much for watching this video together with me. Well, that was a very unique and special episode to watch, isn't it? If you do like this video, please remember to like, share, subscribe to my channel, and comment down below if you have any share of us. Don't forget to follow my channel and see appreciate all of your support and encouragement for my work. It's very motivating, uplifting, and encouraging for me to continue. Thank you so much for being so inspirational, and thank you so much for encouragement as well. But hey, that's just a theory, a film theory, and cut. And I hope to see you all in my next video. Bye bye! Once again, I'm sincerely thankful, grateful, and appreciative for all your support and watching my videos. Thank you. And subscribe as well! Alright, thank you, bye bye. Subscribe. Alright, so that is the sixth episode, sixth video. Finally finished. I still got how many? I still got 1, 2, I got 16 more. 16 more. By the time I reach 6, I'm thinking the donkey, the one, right, will probably be late January 2021. 2022, late January 2022, which is around a month later. A month later, it's gonna be published. Yeah. Then I still got 16 more episodes, which is gonna drag until mid-February. Mid-February, yeah. It's gonna drag until mid-February. Yeah. Middle of February. That was like around after Chinese New Year, maybe after Valentine's Day, yeah. Then I finished 2021. Then I finished 2019, and then from 2019 I still got 2020. 2020 is probably like okay mid. Let's say that I have like 60 videos to watch. There's 2 months, okay. Mid February to mid-March to mid-April. These are the videos. Don't forget during this period of time, Game Theorist will still upload more videos. Correct? So I'm going to do more videos on the Game Theorist as well. So let's just say, let's say what 7, then by the time it's going to be like late April. No, it's not going to be late April. It's going to be early May, probably the 1st of May. Probably the 1st of May I'll be finishing 2020 videos from the Film Theorists. And I still got 2021 videos, not to mention that's 2022. 2021 videos will probably be let's say 1st of May lah. 1st of May I finished I still have 2021 videos from the Film Theorists. And I'll do once again 1st of June, 1st of July. And then let's say there's plus another 2 weeks of videos from the Game Theorists. Let 10 videos are. So it's gonna be mid-July. No, it's not gonna be mid-July. Maybe it's gonna be end of July. End of July I'll finish 2021 Film Theorists. Yeah, end of July. And then mid or end July lah. Probably. It's just rough estimation. I have not even touched on the food theorist yet. The food theorist is a whole bag of worms. Let's just say, once I start touching on the food theorists, which is 1 month worth of videos. Let's say that it's end July. 1 month later it's going to be end August. Then plus the film theorist and food theorists is times 2 already. Probably be like early September or mid-September. Let's say mid-September. Worst case scenario, mid-September. I still have the food theory from 2021. So mid-September become mid-October. Mid-October become mid-November. Right? Middle of November. That's 2021 videos. Don't forget, I have to upload. Similarly, the film theories and the game theory and film theories, the new videos come out. So it's gonna be mid-November, probably early December. Let's say early December. Early December. And I have to still watch the uploaded videos from the food terrorists. The food terrorists will probably be like early December. Early December to early December to early January. Early January to early February, which is 2023. 2023. So probably be around February they'll finish it. 2 years later, February. Yeah. And I want to make the videos like SS Typo also cannot. Like Mr. Beast reacts also cannot. So that's the reason. That's one of the reasons why I know that it's gonna be a 2 years commitment. Until 2023. So I'm thinking of other revenues like song singing videos, like fitness videos, like OnlyFans, Patreon, Instagram. I'm opening all this because different revenues. I know for a fact that I'm still going to do reaction videos no matter what, because I genuinely love to do them. But they cannot come as a solid income based. Even though I enjoy it, but I'm at the kind of age where I have to bear my burdens for society. Yeah. Anyways, I hope that you find this video very interesting to watch. Thank you so much for watching this video together with me. If you do like this video, please if you do like this live stream, please remember to like, share, subscribe to my channel, and comment down below if you have any action with us down below. Don't forget to follow my channel, and sincerely appreciate all of the support and encouragement for my work. It's very motivating and uplifting, and your encouragement, your positivity, your wholesomeness is so supportive. Thank you so much. Yeah, but hey, that's just a stream, a live stream. Thanks for watching. Thank you. And I hope to see you all in my next video. Bye bye.